it was boom, he's down, KIA. It hit me, man, a whole different type of way, because something inside me felt like I sent him there.
What you're about to watch is a new series called Let's Connect. And the idea behind Let's Connect is to bring you stories from veterans, first responders, and their struggles with mental health. I hear you, right? This is not a new idea, a new concept. There's other podcasts, there's other shows out there that do that. But really the difference between this one is those stories over a plate of food, right? Breaking bread together, having those intimate conversations. You know, I think about some of the most impactful and meaningful conversations I've had over my life. A plate of food has been involved. It's been at the dinner table. So we look to recreate that for you, right? But this atmosphere is unrehearsed, it's unscripted, and just honestly, it's just authentic, right? Bringing those stories to you. You're going to see a full range of emotions and feelings. And that's going to be true with my first guest that's going to be on this episode, Sam Carter. And he's going to share with you some childhood trauma that he had. He's going to cover some combat loss, grief through that loss, but in the end, the resilience and the kind of hope that he found. Talking about his support system, who was there for him through these dark times, how he got out of these dark times. Maybe he still even has some struggles with it. And what kind of support system and help does he have now that's surrounding him? So we're going to start in the kitchen. We're going to prepare a meal together. We're going to talk about stories of people who have impacted us and have been influential, mostly in the kitchen, how we became, passionate about food. And then we're going to sit down, we're going to break bread together, and we're going to bring you all the stories that I just mentioned. Everyone's got a story, but this one's Sam's. Sam, welcome to the show, brother.
What's up, man?
What are we making today?
Hey, shrimp and grits. We're using a cheese grit cake or shrimp with Andouille sausage. We got some vegetables to go with it, roasted asparagus, sesame ginger asparagus with some green beans, and then we have biscuits with cinnamon sugar butter. So we're going to have us a good time.
My man, it sounds delicious. Hey, guys, you're going to hang around for the whole thing, especially for the second half. We're going to go ahead and make this meal, but then we're going to share it together. Just break bread, have some conversations. Here's Sam's personal journey that he's had with his mental health struggles. And we're just going to go through that journey together, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Sam and how he got here.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, my man. All right, so we're going to jump in and start prepping in this meal. But first, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, man. Thank you for having me.
It's the first episode of Let's Connect, so it's important to me that Sam decided to come on here. So I just want to say thank you. I love you, man.
Yeah, man. I love you back, man.
All right, so what are we doing first?
Hey, the first thing we got to do is get these vegetables in the oven so they get roasted up. So we've already cleaned them up. The green beans, asparagus here. It has a little bit more flavor. We're going to have sesame ginger flavor on the background. It's a little bit better than just olive oil, you know what I mean?
I got you.
For this particular scenario.
Okay.
So we'll pop that open and get going.
All right. So what are the other ingredients that we're kind of playing around? I know you went over the high level, what it's called, but
yeah.
Some of these other ingredients we're playing with.
Yeah, so we got a sesame seed we'll play with. I'm a fan of most of Lowry's seasonings. I just can't help it because I grew up on it.
So I hear Lowry, I'm like, Mike Lowry.
So the sesame ginger that they have is actually really good. I haven't tried to make that on my own, but sprinkle a little bit of that on top of the sesame oil. It gives it its base.
Right.
So even if you're roasting it, the humidity kind of soaks into the vegetables, and that part I love, man. I love it.
All right.
I absolutely love it.
We're in Virginia. We got plenty of humidity going on around here. So we're good.
You do.
We're good.
Yeah, you do.
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome. So we're doing the asparagus and the green beans now.
Yeah, we're doing that now.
Okay.
The second thing is I got my vegetable seeds, more like sesame seeds.
Okay.
It's it's a seed pack, mostly sesame seeds, pepper, a little bit of salt, a little bit of seasoning salt mixed with it, and a little bit of paprika.
Nice.
All right, so throw that in there. And the secret ingredients of this is almonds.
Hold on, can we tell them?
No, I've been keeping it to myself.
All right.
Yeah, we can tell them.
Okay.
Everybody. I mean, you can add to your own sesame seeds, but Almonds is where it's at.
Almonds. Love
Almonds is where it's at.
Let's do it. All right, sounds good. Give it a little crunch, give it a little texture.
That's it, man.
In there after the roasted vegetables.
Oh my God, roasted almonds with roasted vegetables.
Love it. So you're going to notice in various parts of this video where Sam's audio and mic are muffled. And unfortunately, we discovered this after the fact that his mic placement was less than ideal. And we tried to clean it up a little bit in post-production as much as possible, but it's still noticeable. Hey, episode 1, right? So I called you up, right? I called you up, a few weeks ago, and I said, hey, you've been tracking, about this idea of what we're going to do right here with Cook, Heal, and Connect, and all those things, and big supporter, which I appreciate. So I said, hey, Sam, I want you to come on. I want you to be my first guest. Without hesitation, Sam was like, hey, bro, just let me know when. I'll be on there, which, means a lot to me, deep down in my heart. But you were quick to come up with telling me what you were going to make. I was like, hey, this guy's going to have to think on it for a couple of days and get back to me or something like that. But you said, hey, I'm making this. And you were on it. So that means it's special to you. Yeah. I would imagine. So, give me kind of the backstory. Why did you say, hey, I'm going to make this meal for this episode?
My wife and I both are from Alabama.
Okay.
And of course, we love Southern cooking.
Yeah, no doubt.
And, I don't know if it was our first date or our second date, we both ordered the shrimp and grits. Like we wanted to go for it. So then it became this thing, if it's on the menu, whoever orders it first gets to have it. And if you miss it,
sorry,
you don't get it. You don't get it. And it doesn't matter how it's prepared, like grit cake or just, mashed together or a whole bunch of vegetables. Right. It doesn't matter. We just shrimp and grits. Yeah. That's our deal. And then both of our families have their own recipes about how they make shrimp and grits. And it ended up being an ongoing discussion, like an argument. I wouldn't really call it an argument. It's just like teasing back and forth. Right. We're both from Alabama. I moved up north to Gary, Indiana when I was 8. And between my moms and some other family members, we put sugar in our grits. Hey, man. You can do it. Let me tell you, in my wife's family, you put sugar in the grits? Murder. Man. And it was like, look, this is how I grew up. I didn't know nothing else. I don't know what to tell you. But so there's all savory, salt, cheese. All savory. Yeah. And it's like, if it's even almost halfway sweet, if your cheese is sweet, get out. Violation. File on the play, man. Flag. Love it. So we've gone back and forth. She allows me, I can eat it either way, right? Like, it doesn't matter to me. But if I have my preference. Yeah. Like a 9-year-old boy from Opelika, Alabama, I'm putting a little bit of sugar in it. Put some sugar in it. Hey. That's who I am. That's what I did. But it became like a special meal for us. So, in that moment, it was like, hey, you know what? If we cooking something, this is it. That's the first meal. So I know, obviously, shrimp and grits is a big, 2 pieces of that would be shrimp and grits. But we're doing the andouille sausage that's one in there as well. Yep. So does the andouille sausage always have to go in there? Or is that something that you guys just I think play around with? We play with different, sometimes it's just like garlic, lemon butter on the shrimp. Okay. But then we both had this hankering for like an extra savory taste. Sometimes a little bit of bacon bits. And I, myself, love sausage. Yeah. I don't know where we were at, which menu we hit. Somebody's menu had added a little bit of sausage pieces to the shrimp. It was like, that's what we're doing. That's how it's going down. And, when I made this or prepared this meal for other, folks in my family, they've enjoyed it. So I was like, all right, this is the new thing. Now I don't know if that's a New Orleans thing. I can't claim where it's from. It's a mashup, right? It's a mashup. Everybody's mashed up, different regions, different areas and stuff, and you just kind of marry that together to make your own version. Yep. Right. That's one of the best things about cooking, right? There's no cooking is obviously different than baking, right? Baking, you got to be pretty precise, based upon the measurements, the time and stuff like that. But cooking like this, it's just, you just become an artist, right? You can just do whatever you want. You can do whatever blank canvas. Yeah. And then adjust from there. I love that, man. Like blank canvas, paint your own thing. I think that creative space of where's your palette? Find your palette. Hey, you got it. Let's do it, man. I love that. You got it. I love that. So I did miss one of the ingredients on these vegetables. Okay. Aside from chopping up almonds. And that's the red pepper flakes. Can't have it without like a a little bit of hit on the back end. So
right.
just so you know, we got a little bit of that.
You good? I'm good with the spice. So talked about the sausage. I think earlier you made a comment. This is off camera before we even started recording. You're talking about. You said something about bacon. So is bacon a replacement for the sausage or a substitute, or is it depending upon how high you want your blood pressure? Then you put bacon in. Then you can do
if you need pork on top of pork,
do it.
Yeah, you do it.
Pork square.
Yeah, pork square. Bacon can be a replacement for it for sure. If you don't want to go all in sausage.
Gotcha.
Or you can do both. But the one thing I will say, if you do the bacon, it's not just bacon slabs. The way I end up doing is dicing the bacon up in small pieces. I'll cook it first in the small bits, crunchy type. Yeah. So I just cook it so it's almost like croutons, nice and crunchy. And then once I drop that, I'll drop that into where I'm preparing the shrimp, and I use the bacon grease to cook up the sausage. Okay. That just add that extra flavor to it.
So pork sweat.
Yeah, pork sweat.
From the bacon.
Yes.
To cook the sausage.
Because that's what you need, a little bit of pork sweat.
So I'm assuming you then take the bacon, you sprinkle that on top at the end just for a little texture, or do you fold that into the grits, or again, it's just on the side, you do whatever you want?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Okay. We've had it to where someone didn't want to do pork squared, so we kind of had it off to the side. Right. Other times it's like I just put it all in there together. So as soon as you mix the grits and the shrimp, it's game on. And this is it's dealer's choice kind of situation.
That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
You heard me say, you already knew where I was going with that.
Yeah.
No, that's good. So besides that, what about the vegetable portion, right? So we've already talked about the meat side. So vegetables. Yeah. Do you ever substitute any of these? Do you do anything different than what we're doing tonight? Yeah. So I always try to add a green to it because we got like nothing but brown. We are over 40, so we need to add some green. You got to add some. Yeah. I love asparagus. Yeah. My son will eat asparagus. My wife and daughter will look at me like us two, like we're absolutely insane. It was like, do you have green beans with it? So we end up doing green beans and asparagus if we have it. So that way they can pick out the green beans and we can pick out the asparagus and, eat it together. We have done, I've done this with Brussels sprouts. And the way in which I've done the Brussels sprouts is I do a maple syrup with black pepper. And it's basically you take the sprouts, you cut them in half. So they're like half sprouts. Clean them, wash them, throw them the same way and you roast them. Right. But a good layer, like a decent layer of salt, good layer of black pepper, and then you just yolk it in as much maple syrup as you want, and then you roast it for about 45 minutes. Wow. And that's also pretty good to go with it because you get that first hit of just super sweet because the syrup sticks to the coats it well. It coats it really good. It's super sticky, and then you can taste the pepper afterwards. And the last flavor you hit is the salt. I mean, I can taste it right now. You just described it. So for you, right, that'd be kind of you're in between. So if you don't get the sugar and the grits, you could do the Brussels sprouts with the maple. I'll find my way. Hey, you figure it out. I'll figure it out. Sugar is getting in these veins. It's getting in these veins one way or the other. Somehow. One way or the other, man. All right, so I'm sitting here just watching you prep. So what do you need? What do you need me to do? If you could, I can scoot over. You good? I can go over here. I'll be off camera, but we can. Okay. You're the guest, dog. You need to be in the front. I appreciate it. If you could pull and dice up the cilantro, that would be awesome. Love everybody's favorite to cut. Cilantro is a must if you got shrimp or seafood. Good. I'm a fan. Yep. And if you can dice up the pepper. Love to. That would be amazing. Would love to. And as soon as I finish with this right here, these almonds, I'll get those sprinkled up. And we throw those into the oven. And is red pepper always the choice, or you can do same thing, right? You just kind of do it almost steal your time. Yeah. I like bell peppers. Yeah. So any opportunity for me to sneak a bell pepper in a meal, I will. Green peppers work. I mean, it's also good because you add a little extra flavor to your shrimp. Right. Having that pepper hit gives it that little extra, that earthy feel, that earthy taste to it. So, I mean, if I don't do red pepper, I may do a green bell pepper. What I have not tried is jalapenos. I haven't done that yet. I feel like that could be, a good experiment to kind of play with. Especially with if you're doing the maple syrup with the Brussels sprouts, right? Cut some of the sweetness that's in there. Yep. I like that.
I think that'd be good.
That'd be really good.
All right, so I think the oven is
I think we, hit on a lot of the things that are going on specifically in this dish.
Yeah.
I know you talked about this kind of came into your life when Monica came into the picture. At least you were having it before that.
Yeah,
it became, something a little bit different, meant a lot more, I think, maybe later on in life.
Yeah.
So besides this dish, was there a dish you remembered when you were growing up that you were like, man, if I just smell this thing or if I hear this, it takes me back.
Yeah. There are
that?
two dishes that take me back. It's like the Ratatouille cartoon. You just immediately appear in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's the first meal I ever learned how to make. French toast. French toast. My grandmother was making breakfast in the kitchen, and had no idea what she was doing. It looked like the
You didn't, or your grandmother did?
I didn't.
Okay.
I had no idea.
Every grandmother knows.
She knows. She knew what she was doing.
Yeah, okay.
But I didn't know what she was doing. Because it just seemed like the weirdest. She grabbed a loaf of bread and then she pulled out this nutmeg and cinnamon. And I was like, I have never seen this before. I don't know. What is this? What is this? And then she cracked open an egg and she's just whipping it up and she's adding stuff to the egg. And then I watched her grab the bread and throw it into this egg batter dip. And I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what that is. That looks like the weirdest situation. Like, are we eating that? And then she threw it on the skillet. And I watched it brown and I could smell it. I was like, oh my God, that smells so good.
The smell is...
Oh my God, man.
I mean, you could be anywhere in a house. I don't care how many square feet you got in a house. Somebody's cooking French toast.
Yep.
Saturday, Sunday morning.
Yep.
Hey, you're going to wake up.
You're going to wake up, man. And the second time she finished it, she asked me to come over. She was like, here, you're going to make the other one, the rest of it. So she showed me how to make French toast. I made French toast pretty much nonstop for like 3 years after that. That was my dish. I knew how to make French toast, man. And I was teaching other people how to make French toast. That was my thing.
I've heard of a lot of diets. I don't think I've heard of a French toast diet. you might be onto something.
It was legit. It was everything I needed it to be.
Yeah.
But also learn how to measure things, right? Like you just can't put a whole ton of cinnamon into your batter and expect it all to dissolve the exact same way at the exact same speed. You're going to have some challenges there. So that's the first meal. And that's just, it brings me back. Anytime I see it, anytime I smell it, I think about, that's the first thing I ever learned how to cook. The second thing is one of my favorites. It's chicken and dumplings. Oh. To this day, I still haven't learned how to cook some good chicken and dumplings. But whenever my mother-in-law's in town, my mom is in town, some of my aunts are in town, all of them have like absolute delicious chicken and dumpling recipes. Yeah. And they know like, hey, we're in town. Do you have a taste of anything? You want us to make anything while we're here? And I just start giggling because they already know. That's the other one.
They shouldn't even have to ask.
They shouldn't have to ask at this point. Yeah. As many years as I asked for chicken and dumplings, they shouldn't even have to ask.
They just like the build up to it.
Yeah. I guess all our families do.
Hey.
It's like, so what do you want? You know what I want. Why are you even asking? But yeah, those are the two that kind of stand out for me.
Wow.
Do you have one like that?
It actually goes back to what we were talking about off camera before we hit play. I don't know if we're supposed to tell them, what we ate.
Yeah.
Before we jumped on the camera.
Yeah.
You might have heard Sam mention that we're having biscuits as part of this. We made 8. The number may still be divisible by 2, but it is smaller. There's only 6 left in there. So it's actually biscuits for me.
Really?
Which I know is like, I guess depends who you ask, could be its own food group, but it's not. It's a vessel of some sort, right? Yeah. You can make whatever. You can make a sandwich. It could be savory. It could be sweet.
Yeah.
And just like you, and I would imagine like a lot of you folks out there, grandparents have a large play on individuals' lives, right? And I think you hear a lot about, hey, my grandmother, she made this and she did this, and going over to my grandparents' house was awesome, or whatever the case may be. And that was how it was for me. So on my dad's side, So it's actually my great-grandmother. I called her Granny Honeycutt. That was her name. And she was from the South. But growing up, me being from Maryland, I only knew her from Maryland. I didn't know when she grew up in South Carolina, obviously, and spent time down there and all those things. Mm-hmm. And yes, I know Maryland is below the Mason-Dixon line. Most people are like, Maryland's not the South. So growing up and going over to see my Granny Honeycutt, biscuits were just a constant. Mm. I mean, it was just like salt and pepper on the table and biscuits. Man. Like it was just there. So, as a 8-year-old, 9-year-old little boy, that could eat a whole pantry worth of food. I ate like 5 or 6 biscuits. I was good for a while. Yeah. But it just always stuck with me.
Yeah. I'm gonna rinse these real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. All right. So, and in my household, I shared this with you earlier as well when we were enjoying our fresh biscuits with butter and raspberry preserves.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. So I'm the only really big biscuit eater in the house. So if I'm making a can of biscuits or if I'm making biscuits from scratch, I know I'm in for some carb loading that day or the next 2 days, because I'll save the biscuits. I'll eat them the next day, heat them up, warm them up. And it's just the same thing with French toast, right? It obviously doesn't have the same sweet smell of the cinnamon and all those things, and everything on the cinnamon or the French toast. But if there's biscuits baking in the house, yeah, man,
I love it, man.
I'm all over it. So biscuits were my thing and still are my thing. So if you ever catch me at a Cracker Barrel eating the Country Boy breakfast, Cracker Barrel on that menu, Country Boy breakfast has got everything, and then you get whatever biscuits you want, the spiced apples, and do all of that. So for you, in terms of the meals, and you mentioned your grandmother, and then you were talking about your mom and your mother-in-law and stuff. Safe to assume that growing up, your grandmother was the food influence in your life.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, grandma. I can still remember early days in Alabama, because I was born in Opelika and we grew up in Salem until I moved north. And Salem is out there. It's out there in Alabama. And grandma we had a goat, we had a hog, she had a garden. We had goat milk.
Before it was popular.
She had chickens. We had a chicken coop. So we had fresh eggs all the time. And I was always amazed at grandma's superhuman strength of she could fry fish or chicken without having like tongs. She would just reach her hand into that hot grease and flip that over. She was so fast, man. It was like a kung fu movie. Grandma could just wop, 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 wop. It was so fast, man.
No blisters, no nothing.
Clean, man. Never chipped a nail.
Good Lord.
Oh my God. But the other thing is we would go to I can't remember how she knew or what her relationship was with the owner of this giant farm. But we would go out there and we would pick fruit. So strawberries and blackberries and blueberries. And grandma would come home and she would make preserves and jams. And then she'd always make like an apple pie and that kind of stuff. And watching her on the stove, and it was a factory line. We had a mason jars, and she would put the preserves together, and we would start canning all the jellies. Oh man, that was it. So she had everybody working. There wasn't an empty hand in the house. There was not a single foot sitting down working. Everybody had a role. Everybody had something to do. Yeah, that was a big influence about having your family in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like everybody was there. So as I got older, grandma passed away.
Yeah.
My mom she was a big influence of, one thing you won't do is not know how to prepare a meal. You will know how to find your food,
Right.
go through your food, and prepare a meal.
I mean, it's a survival thing, right? I mean, we've had a lot of conversations about this, and obviously as we get, you know, and you folks out there, you get deeper into, you know, cook, heal, connect, and what really this is about, you know, at the basic root of it, it's a survival thing.
Yeah.
Right? So having somebody instill that into you at a young age, on the importance of it, is awesome, man. Because not everybody gets that.
Yeah. It was a beautiful thing. I mean, it was a beautiful thing. I don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one of the things that, you know, I try to pass on to my kids. So my daughter is kind of taking it to it. My son is still kind of like, man, why you dragging me in the kitchen? Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, you're gonna learn how to prepare a meal.
The basics.
You learn the basics.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Even if you don't love it.
Right.
Even if you don't love it, you'll know how to do it.
You'll learn to.
You'll learn to.
Or somebody will appreciate what you're making. They'll love it. You know,
and then you get to tell your story like, man, Dad, you used to drag me into the kitchen.
There you go.
Yeah, you'll have your war stories. And I would tell them, and then you
kicking and screaming.
It is, kicking and screaming. You're making it.
So is this enough cilantro or you need more?
You're going to need more.
Okay.
Definitely going to need more.
Okay. So now I can see why you wanted me to do this.
Yeah, man.
For those that can't see on camera, and you can get mad because I'm using a plastic cutting board. I apologize. Sam's got my nice one over there.
It is nice, I won't lie.
I don't know what that is. Maybe can you say it an inch? I don't know if you can do it. Is a measurement the proper thing? So I guess an inch is wrong, right? This is a piece of wood.
A teaspoon?
Yeah. I'm talking about inches.
You got a whole bushel over there?
Yeah.
He's like, is this good?
So different system. Let's get out of the inches. This is probably a tablespoon and a couple of leaves, man.
Yeah.
So with that, how many tablespoons do you use? So I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean
5 times more?
Yeah, definitely 5 times more for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, because then we'll have some that we'll prepare with the meal.
Okay.
As we stir it up, and then you have some we can set off to the side. And if you want to add a little bit more afterwards as a part of the garnish, that's what it's for.
Is this the base of a salad?
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
All right. So you want this whole thing? I don't even know why I'm even messing around.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just picking the leaves off. And
Yeah.
We'll get it going.
Well, while you doing that, I can actually get started on the shrimp. Yeah. I gotta get started on sausage first.
Yeah.
Because this is basically done. Because we can't have all the onions. This might be a lot of onions.
That's a lot of onions. Yeah. But we got to balance out this
cilantro.
7 inches of cilantro that I'm cutting up for you.
Yeah. I mean, if it turns out good, man, you'll thank me.
Okay, so I apologize. The tone was not complaining tone, although I can see how it could come across as that. You know me well enough that I don't complain very much.
You good?
So
man. You're good.
We're making a meal together, man.
I'm enjoying.
This is awesome. So for you and Monica, right? Since you guys obviously vibe over this dish, you guys make this at home, just you and her. Have you guys ever?
Yeah, we do it. I mean, we try to make a point to make a meal together with the entire family. We get all 4 of us in the kitchen. And the kids will have a role, and either I'm leading the dish or Monica's leading the dish, and I'm her sous chef. However it works out, we flip it, whatever we're making, and we just go from there. And it's like it's family time at that point. Yeah, like we make a point not to have our cell phones like right here in our hands. They're completely in a different room, and it's just family time. We turn the music on, the music is playing in the background, and we're just cooking.
I love that, man.
That's what we do, man.
So, kid-wise, obviously, for those of you watching this that don't know me that well, at some point I imagine somebody's going to watch this that's never seen my face before. So, so from my kid's perspective, I got an older son who's out of the house, has his own family, and then I got an older daughter, early 20s, and then a younger daughter who's obviously just getting ready to go into 8th grade, 13 going on, 27 or whatever it is. Yeah. And it's hard, man. It's hard to find time to do things together as a family. And we try. Yeah. You got to have involvement from everybody. It's one of those things where, do you force it? Then it becomes everybody gets disgruntled. But I like it from the cooking perspective and getting everybody in the kitchen because you kind of take some ownership of what's going in there. Versus, hey, let's sit down and play a game or, watch a movie or something like that. There's a lot more interaction with this. And you're learning at the same time. Right? Just like you're talking about with your grandmother and different things. And I'm not wasting this cilantro that you taught me dropping the sink.
I was like, what you doing with all that cilantro right
there? Nothing. I'm picking it up and cleaning it, sir. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. I just had to get it out of my hands to get these other parts.
Yep.
So what was you obviously talked about the French toast and, growing up, it was one of the dishes that you go back to. Mm-hmm. When you started really spending time in the kitchen, maybe as, teenager, young adult maybe.
Yeah.
What did you gravitate towards when you really started cooking?
Barbecue.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, when I really started cooking, it wasn't just the stove. It was funny because, me and my brother both cook. And he gravitated to the pit first. Like, his whole thing, even when we were in middle school and high school, was if the grill was on, he needed to be outside. So he was outside, with the old man, making ribs, making brisket, doing the hand patties for the burgers. Yeah. He was out there. And, I was inside prepping all the other food. And when we switched, he would come in, he was like, I'm not doing all that other stuff. He was like, you're in the kitchen, I'm outside. So we kind of go back and forth a lot. When I actually started preparing meals, once I enlisted, like once I joined, it was like, now I got my own grill.
Right.
And I obsessed over that for the first 10 years. I needed to grill everything. So
when you enlisted, so this was while you were in the barracks, or you're doing?
Yeah, man. I was, we was in the barracks, when we used to have those outdoor picnic like grills that were outside the barracks that, you had to like somewhat clean.
Right.
So,
next to the smoke shack?
Yeah, next to the smoke shack. Yeah. So you're out there, cooking, and then everybody's smoking Marlboros and the menthols right next to you. He was like, goodness gracious. Yeah. I was that guy. So
did you become, just the chef of the barracks? I mean, what was?
I mean, I was one of them. I was one of the guys that cooked. By the time I got to Pendleton, I was a part of a crew of cooks.
Okay.
I mean, like, out of the guys I rolled with, everybody loved to cook, and everybody loved to grill. So then it was the grill competitions of the weekend.
Hell yeah.
And whenever we were all, especially that time in Pendleton, that was deployment days, man. I was, 04 to 09, 04 to 210.
Right.
Whenever we were all home, we basically somebody would be on the grill. Someone would be critiquing them while they're on the grill, giving them crap about.
But still eating it, and
still eating everything, and giving them crap about not knowing what to do with the grill.
Yeah.
That was the life. It was like, don't make me bring my barbecue grill over here and show you what you need to do. We did that nonstop every weekend, and it was fun. Like, we enjoyed it. Oddly enough, we enjoyed it so much. One of the guys out of our crew, who's a culinary artist now, man. He has his own food trucks, big time. Yeah. He has his own YouTube channel. He's on Instagram doing live all the time. I think he was on base for a while. Ian may be on base for Ian Moore. If he's out there, like, check him out. Ian he's the pit master. Out of all of us, we all kind of had to give him his props. Right. So, like,
he rose to the top.
All right.
Yeah, you got it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Nothing wrong with this.
All right. I can't take it to your level right now because
that's awesome.
his he has his pit on a trailer, so he goes places with that.
When your barbecue pit needs a license plate.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
You big time.
Yeah.
You big time.
And it's delicious too. At no point, at any point, as all of us coming up, did anyone ever question his skills? And when he retired, he went all in with it, man. So I will say, I love the grill, but also, my first heart is on the grill. My second heart is the kitchen. just because one of the things I enjoyed about being in the kitchen, and, you know, some folks out there probably relate to this, is you may have like 3 or 4 people around you at the pit, you know, a couple of folks with a couple of drinks, kind of going back and forth. But when you're in the kitchen, you have your whole family around.
That's right.
So 9, 12, 20 different people in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And periodically somebody asks you, do you need some help? Do you need something? Can I help you with something?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Most of the time I say no.
Yeah.
The answer is always yes, but in my head. But outwardly I'm like, no, I don't need anything.
Yeah, and I love that, man. Ask me if I need anything. I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's like, nah, I'm good. But there would be that one time I'm thinking, you know what? You could pass me something to drink. I could take a little bit of water right now.
Well, I gave it to you earlier, so I was ready.
I appreciate it.
So you talk about the family and, you know, making meals with them, getting them in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. But if they're not helping you, right? A couple little sous chefs running around the Carter house, what would they ask you to make? But like, Dad, hey, it's been 3 weeks. It's been 2 months since you've made us this. What would that be?
Oh, man. What would be... They each have their own dish they like I make.
Right.
Let me think. I mean, my son loves hamburgers. So if I make some hamburgers on a grill, I grill those, he'll love that. Because for him, it tastes different than like just going to McDonald's or anywhere else.
Sure. I hope so.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, I'll bring him out there when I like to pit. And, you know, when we make the burgers inside and we put the burgers on and I flip them, like he's involved in that. And like, he loves burgers. He also loves pizza. I haven't made pizza. But
I love pizza.
Yeah.
That's not a kid
everybody
thing.
in America loves pizza.
That's not a kid thing. Like,
yeah, you know what? That's true. The Ninja Turtles made it popular, right? Yeah, everybody loves pizza. I'm trying to think. My daughter loves. She loves. If I had to guess, it would be macaroni balls.
Macaroni what?
Macaroni balls.
Bottles?
Balls.
Oh, balls.
Macaroni.
Got it.
Oh,
okay.
I got to tell you about the macaroni balls. So
I can picture it.
Yeah. You haven't had? I got
like fried macaroni and cheese.
It's fried macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
In balls, and then you make it with I always try to make it with some type of barbecue sauce.
Okay.
So it's either the raspberry, or not raspberry, the mesquite blackberry barbecue sauce.
Yeah, I've had it.
Yeah.
I've had that barbecue sauce of yours.
Strawberry.
Yeah.
The strawberry sauce is one of those two as like a side. That's her thing. If I make macaroni balls, which is fried macaroni and cheese, she's in heaven. That's her thing.
So I've never made macaroni balls.
Yeah.
I know my youngest, she likes fried mac and cheese. And obviously you've been to restaurants, right? You get fried mac and cheese appetizers or something like that. And most of the time they are in spherical ball shape. So I can see where you're going. That's why I went straight to fried mac and cheese.
Yeah. You had it, man. You knew what was going on.
But what I imagine is you prep the mac and cheese, and I'm assuming you have to make it cold or freeze it or something so you can scoop it. Okay.
Yeah. You freeze it.
Okay.
I mean, you make your macaroni and cheese to your liking.
Okay.
And then you bake it just to make sure it's like nice and firm, and you have enough cheese content, because if it's just like the squeezed Velveeta, it won't stick. You actually have to have cheese in it. So there's no cheating. There's no cheating with it. And then when you freeze it to where it's nice and hard, but it's scoopable like ice cream. And then when you make your batter, I mix my batter with breadcrumbs and Parmesan cheese.
Okay.
So that way it has like more of a savory, crunchy outside. Like it's nice and...
You don't add sugar to this one?
I don't add sugar to it. There's no sugar to it.
Just check.
Yeah. So like when I scoop it up and I put it in the egg, the egg wash, and I dip it in the batter before I throw it in the fryer.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that batter is like really, really, really right. It has just the amount of savory to it So you bite into it, you can taste it, and you can taste the cheese in the center.
All right.
Yeah, man.
So the fact that you're talking about it this much means it's probably going to be on the menu at the house here pretty soon.
Yeah. I mean, if I say it now, that means I'm talking it up. So somebody's going to ask about it.
All right. So what are you doing over there? Tell the people out there what you're doing.
Yeah. So I mean, we're ready to go. We got the onions diced up. You're pretty much done with the cilantro. So now it's time to start cooking up the shrimp. So with the shrimp, this is basically a fairly simple dish. It's garlic, butter, and lime as the base.
Okay.
And everything else is just good flavor and good seasoning. Now I do use any type of herb seasoning. My favorite right here is the garlic and herb. It just adds a little hit to the seafood mix. Yeah. I've seen seafood seasoning. I've used that before. I've used Italian seasoning. I've used that before. It's just that last little. I mean, I've used the Mrs. Dash herb seasoning. Yep. Used that before. Just any little thing, just to give it the last round of hit, so you have a good flavor to it.
So you just open the pantry and grab whatever's on the front of the shelf and just roll.
Hey man, you just go.
Hey, that's how it usually works, and it usually ends up being the best dish you make.
Yeah, man.
Then you try to replicate it again, and it's like, this tastes different. I don't know what I did.
Like, what did I do different?
Yeah.
It's like, what did I do?
I think that's some of the mystery that goes into. A lot of the times I'm cooking, I'll make something, and Jen, who's my wife, she'll be like, "Oh, this is amazing." That's what she says all the time.
Yeah. Of course.
She's like, "Oh, this is amazing." She's like, "You got to make this again." She's like, "You wrote it down, right?" Yeah, I wrote it down.
Yeah, it's in there.
So when she asked for it again a couple weeks later, she's like, "Did you do something different?" And you already know.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste as good.
Yeah. It's like, don't you worry about it.
I mean, you can just flat out say it's not as good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have a hard time. I don't have a hard time because I just don't do it. I just don't write it down. So I don't have a hard time doing it.
Yeah.
Trying to get better at it. If I make something, 3-4 times, and everybody's like, keeps saying, "Oh, this is amazing," then I'll get the hint. All right.
Yeah.
I'll write this one down so we can revisit it at a later date.
Yeah.
Hey man, I almost want to get a tablespoon measurement out to see.
That's plenty. That's exactly what we need. We got some for the dish, and we'll have some for later for garnish. My man, you know what you're doing. Man.
Okay, for those of you out there, it's probably not 7 tablespoons. And I could probably stretch it out to be 7 inches, but all right. So this is going off to the side.
That's going off to the side.
This is later.
Yep, that's for later.
Okay. What about these red peppers that I cut up over here?
That's for later too. We get later. I mean, later is in a sense is we getting ready to hit right off into it shortly.
All right.
You want to taste one of these green beans? See if they're ready?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, they look ready.
Yeah.
I mean, we're about to burn our taste buds on camera. It's about to be what happens.
Yep.
What you got?
My boys are ready. That's what I need. What you think?
First thing I thought about was, man, the oven's on 425, ain't it?
Yeah.
Hey.
What do you think?
Sammy, that's delicious, man.
You like that?
Yeah, really good.
That's it right there, man.
Spot on with the special ingredient.
Yep.
That we weren't supposed to tell anybody about.
Yeah.
That we told somebody about.
They'll be all right. They'll figure
It's
it
all
out.
good, man.
They'll figure it out.
All right, so cilantro, peppers are done. What else do you need me to do?
I think we're about ready, man. The only other thing is we're gonna have to warm up that grit cake.
Okay.
So we can use it shortly. Let's see if it's ready. Because as I'm warming up the shrimp, it's gonna cook pretty quick and it'll be ready.
You still want this on 425 or do you want me to lower it?
Let's lower it to 375.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. I think the grit cake is ready.
No more steam coming off of it?
No more steam. The bottom is cold. Like, you always tell like it's ready when the bottom is cold.
Yeah.
But like if it's still warm, it's not ready.
Okay.
So I think this is ready.
Feels good.
Yep.
So when you pull that out, if you can come over and tell everybody kind of what you did with the grit cake.
Yeah, for the grit cake, basically, did cheese grits. I had a little bit of sugar, my salt and pepper.
We won't tell Monica.
Yeah, because she'll make fun of me. Butter and cheese, and then I put it in a cake pan. And then whatever excess I have, I put it in another cake pan, and then put it in the freezer till the bottom is cold, and then I just leave it in there until the meal is about ready.
Yeah.
And then when I pull it out, put it on the oven pan. We're gonna flip it over, and then we'll warm it back up to prepare, basically to serve. And then I just cut into it like I'd cut a pie.
Perfect.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
So now I'm out of a job, so
yeah,
I want to do something.
If you want to do something, I can finish the shrimp.
Okay.
You can put that on top of the pan.
Okay.
I will take this here and move out of your way because I'm getting ready to use it right now. Just like that. I know I'm all screwed. And the only thing is, since this is, we won't need any parchment paper, right? This would be fine. Just like
was that a question or a comment?
I was. You know what? Yeah, it was a question because I didn't know what this type. I think it's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine.
All right.
Yeah, you just flip it over.
I can get another one.
We're good. We're good. All right, this bad boy.
Flip it over. So grit side down.
Yeah, grit side down.
So we want it to fall out.
We want it to fall out. We want it to fall out the pan. You might have to tap it a few times.
I'm just going to trust that gravity is going to do it.
You might have to tap it a few times.
No, you probably didn't have to spray anything in here for when you put these in there just because of the fat and the cheese and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So after they've released, am I taking the pan? These are stupid questions, but I just don't know. So am I taking the pans off or leave it on?
Yes.
Good.
After they release, you take the pan off. Yeah.
First one released.
Yep. Is that one fighting?
Second one needs a little coaching.
Mm-hmm. It's going to give
Sorry,
you a
it's going to be a little noisy for you guys out there.
Yeah. So what is that noise?
Spanking this grit.
Yeah, the grit cake. And if all of a sudden it's been...
Be a second.
If it's been stubborn...
Put some hot water?
Oh, no. Just grab a spoon to the edge. When you shake it, pop it out.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with the hot water because...
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In my head, I was imagining pouring hot water over the back of this.
I was worried when you said that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what a hot water is.
Fortunately, most people probably can't hear me because I'm banging on this, so they're not even going to know I said hot water.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I'll just say it was you.
Yeah. I mean, I would. That's what I would say.
So I'm just going to be loud for a second. Sorry, guys. I mean, this thing. No.
You got it?
No, I want you to...
You
gave me one task.
You got one job.
Release the grits.
Release the grits.
Release the grits.
You got one job, sir. All right. We got the butter in there.
I'll make it work.
We got the lime.
Slide this over. Maybe if I'm like in the center of the camera, it'll somehow know it's on camera and
give you some
do
relief.
Its job. Hello.
You got one out.
That one was easy.
Yeah.
Damn. I got it.
You got it?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm never going to make this on my own if I can't get the grits out. So.
Well, next time I'll add a little bit of oil to it. But usually it pops out because I'm using those aluminum foil pans.
Yeah, no, you're good. I can hear my Granny Honeycutt right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you and me both.
She's like, boy, better get that grit cake out of there.
Yeah. My grandma laughing at me too.
No problem, Granny, I got it.
She was like, really? Is that what you're doing, man?
You know what? The sides are about as loose as they could be.
Yeah. So it's ready.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to tell it. It came out.
Yep.
Yeah.
My man.
Hey.
That's all you needed.
For those out there, there's like only 2 grits left in this whole thing.
My man.
I'm sure it was because of the spanking.
That's all it was.
That I was doing. All right, so is this going in the oven right now or we need to wait?
It's going in the oven right now. Yeah. Put it in the oven.
How long is this going in the oven for?
Maybe about
5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes is perfect.
This looks amazing.
I'm glad you like it, man. Well, you'll see when you taste it, but
Every ingredient you put in there, my body already knows that I like it.
I think you'll like it.
So there's,
Yeah, I think it'll be okay.
There's nothing going to be coming out of me that says this is anything but delicious.
So when we have leftovers, what's always good for this is like if I want to, let's say we go through the grits, and I have a lot of shrimp and sausage left. When we pack it up for leftovers, I pack it up with the sauce in it because when I reheat it with rice. So then we have it over rice, and I use the sauce in the rice.
So as soon as you said rice, and we obviously are cooking shrimp, it takes me to another dish. Growing up, so my Granny Honeycutt was on my dad's side. On my mom's side, her parents, my grandparents, George and Hazel, they made shrimp Creole. And shrimp Creole was, once every couple of weeks, I'd just, go to their house. They would cook a big batch of it and then freeze it in like gallon Ziploc bags. And then when I came over, Eric, you want some shrimp Creole? They were my mom and pop on that side. I was like, my mom was like, I would love some shrimp. I would love some shrimp Creole. You already know my answer is yes.
Yeah.
So as soon as you said rice, and we talked earlier about smells or something happens and just some nostalgia builds up, and immediately you go back to that place. As soon as you said rice, I got the smell of the shrimp.
Yeah.
I was like, mom and pop.
Yeah, man.
Shrimp Creole.
Yeah. And
man.
The smell of flavors of like good cooking.
Yeah.
It always take you back. Like when you think about the scent and memory.
So you're talking about the scent and taking you back.
Yeah. I think the smell and fragrances of certain meals.
Yeah.
They just immediately take you to a place to where it's like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I need.
Just right here.
Yep.
I'm assuming that big one's yours and the small one's mine.
Well, we'll have plenty. We never go without food, right? All right, man. So I think we got to start plating this. We got the biscuits
right there.
Right in front of me, like in broad daylight.
I mean, technically they were a little.
Yeah. I'm gonna warm them up real quick so the butter melts.
Okay.
And that's basically like 2 minutes as we plate this up. So I'm gonna grab my.
So what do you need me to do?
Stand by.
Stand by.
That's what I need you to do, man.
I'm good at that.
I need you to stand by.
I've had plenty of people in my life told me to stand by, so this ain't the first time.
Yeah.
All right, so walk us through. I know we can't see, but walk.
Yeah. So we'll plate it up. Cut a pie slice of the grit cake. It's nice and warm already, so it's perfect for it. Sometimes I put 2 grit cakes next to it because I know I'm hungry. I know I'm getting ready to eat. I don't want to overwhelm you real quick. But.
I mean, you might want to put 2 in there because we are not going to be next to the kitchen when we get to the second part of this.
All right.
So I'm just throwing that out there.
All right. I'll hook you up.
Oh, is that mine?
This is your plate, man.
Oh, I was talking about you.
Hey, man, I got you, man.
Okay.
I was,
I apologize.
I was offering the 1 grit cake, but since you mentioned it, I'm gonna make sure you're taken care of, sir.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you did it to yourself.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. All right. So then we'll serve it right on up. Add a little bit to it.
You want a bigger spoon?
I think I'm all right. This. Add a little bit.
So put a little bit of the shrimp, the sausage.
Mm-hmm. Put that on top, and I'm gonna douse it with a little bit of the juice, as my uncle would say. Gotta get some juice on it.
All right, Uncle, we got you.
Yeah, Uncle's like, you gotta get some juice. All right.
I know y'all can't see this right now, but you'll just have to trust me. You'll see the finished product here.
Yeah. And then what I told you, hit you with a little bit of
the cilantro.
A little bit of fresh cilantro to garnish it up.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Now it's time to pull them biscuits out.
Love it.
Yep. So that's the finished version of that for the look. We grab the tongs. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I saw the tongs.
There's some over here.
They were over here the entire time.
It's all right.
I get your vegetables, almond side up. Make sure you get some of the asparagus and the green beans. I'm mixing you together so you get to taste them both.
You put it on the plate however you want, sir. I will eat it just the same.
All right. You still got the, what's that butter knife you had over there?
I'll put it away.
You put it away?
Yeah, I'll get you another one.
All right. As I'm grabbing your plate. Here you go.
You about to butter my biscuits?
I'm about to butter your biscuits,
My
baby.
man.
I'm going to butter your biscuits.
My man. Love it. I know somebody out there is thinking it, so I had to say it.
Yeah. They'll laugh about it later.
And they will.
Yeah, it was, you know, I did a video. I did a video with Semi and we had black cherry Kool-Aid, man. That was the funniest thing on his podcast. He laughed about that because I was like, it's black cherry, baby. And he just dubbed that over and over again.
You know the intro of every single one.
Oh, man. He clowned me, man. It was good, though. It was good. But I am buttering your biscuits, so.
You are buttering my biscuits.
Yeah, man.
I'm not going to tell you no.
Hey, man, you got this, man. All right, bro. There you go.
Yeah.
So that is your meal, sir.
I love it. I love
your
it.
Plate.
So make sure that I'm getting this in the shot. Everybody can see. Sammy made up for us. Hell yeah, man.
That looks good,
It
man.
looks delicious.
Yeah, I'm about to jump into it.
Hey,
Behind.
no, you need to, man. I can't wait to share this meal with you.
Of course. Of course.
All right, so we're going to let Sam's going to plate up his meal.
Yep.
He's going to do 2 pieces of grit cake, too.
Yeah.
You better be doing 2 pieces of grit cake.
I got 2 pieces over here.
And next time you see us, we're going to be in the second half of this video. We're going to sit down, share a little bit more about Sam, or Sam share a little more about himself, some of his struggles he's had over the years, and the resilience that he's shown, and just kind of how he's gotten through that. Maybe hopefully somebody out there can learn a few things. So we'll see you guys here in a little bit. This shit's real, dog. It's all matters. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the second half of this Let's Connect episode 1 with our special guest, Sam.
My man.
We've already started digging in, as you can see. Sam's a little further into his adventure than I am. But Sam, I know I said it off camera, man, but this is amazing. Like, seriously delicious. I appreciate you coming over here and making this in my house, sharing this with me. The stories you share with me down in the kitchen means a lot. So, happy to be breaking bread with you here. Now that we've kind of moved on to the second half of this, so the Let's Connect series, we prep and we cook the meal in the kitchen like you guys have already seen. And then we move into a little bit more intimate setting like we're at now, a little more comfortable, enjoying the fruits of the labor with the meal. And really the idea is, conversation flow naturally. But one of the main reasons for Cook, Heal, and Connect is hear different people's stories, right? Everybody's got a different story, a different journey, how they got to where they are today, your struggles. We may have a lot of similarities, but there's probably a lot of differences. There's things that that you've learned along the way that could maybe help me in my day-to-day life right now that I've never knew existed or anything like that, right? So part of this is obviously we want to hear, other folks' stories, other veterans' stories. It could actually end up being law enforcement, first responder, but obviously our closed circle of group is veterans. Done a lot of deployments, some of them together, some of them separate, but the numbers are high. And we just want to have a chance to talk and share the stories and want other people to hopefully take something away, right, from anything that we talk about. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that don't want to seek help. They're afraid to seek help, and I'm sure there's something you might say here today that'll inspire somebody out there that's going to watch this. So
I hope so.
Yeah. So, as I go ahead and eat a little bit, obviously you being the guest here, I'm glad you started to dig in a little bit more because you're going to be doing a lot of the talking. But let's talk about life. It's kind of stage set a little bit. So tell me a little bit about life before the Marine Corps. What did the upbringing look like? Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Where did you spend your childhood? Kind of paint that picture for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was born in Opelika, Alabama. Country boy from the South, like deep Salem, Alabama is where I would say I grew up. And those were the days of me and the neighborhood kids. We didn't live on a paved road in Salem. These were all like trailers off in the woods that were on a dirt road that led to the one paved road. And that paved road had where the bus stop was to pick everybody up to go to school.
Wow.
And not too far from that, there was the creek, was like the neighborhood hangout spot. So everyone would go down to the creek and we'd play in the water, or we'd fish, or that was it. That's it.
That was life.
That was life. We rode bikes, up and down some of the trails and, through the woods. And we played in the creek. And all that changed when I turned 8. That was all I knew, is working, me and my mom lived with my grandma.
Right.
And like I said, when we were cooking, grandma had things everybody had to do. It was feed the hogs, feed the goats, feed the chickens, till the soil. There was always something. And, she didn't just, curate the farm, so to speak. She was also handy. So when she built her front porch to her trailer and built her back porch to her trailer, like, she had everybody like grab the wood.
She was the foreman.
She was the foreman.
Yeah.
She was the foreman. And she was, hammering nails like, you're doing it wrong. You need to do it like this. That was the life, man, up until I was 8. And at 8 years old, my mom and I moved to Gary, Indiana, right outside Chicago. And in Gary, Indiana, right outside Chicago, that's a different world, man. This is city life. So I'm the country boy in the inner city neighborhood, and it was an adjustment. I mean, everybody could hear the Alabama in my twang,
No doubt.
but it was like, it was a big adjustment of being around that many people, period. Like, jam-packed into an area. So, that adjustment was like, wow, this is different. And like, I went to school and, made some friends, made some enemies, learned the dynamic of how to interact with bullies, friends, close friends.
Right.
The whole span of just childhood life.
Yeah.
That happened all the way up to my freshman, sophomore year in high school. And then, my family packed up and we moved again. And we went to like a suburban area. It was like Maryville. Like, Maryville wasn't quite inner city.
It's still around Chicago.
So this is further. So Gary, Indiana is closer to Chicago. Maryville was like the suburbs of Gary.
Okay.
If Gary was a city, Maryville was the suburbs.
Got it.
So it was the nice suburban area. We moved to, when I was the beginning of my sophomore year. It was like the very, very end of my freshman year, beginning of my sophomore year. Me and my brother moved to Maryville. Shell shock. It was an absolute shell shock, because Maryville was one of the most diverse high schools in the area, because everybody from anywhere, like, you got an international of people in our high school from other countries. So it was a beautiful experience, but it was it was another shell shock, right? Like, I go from in the rural south of Opelika, Alabama, to deep inner city Gary, Indiana, to this international space of Maryville. And it was from there that I enlisted. But it was like, that journey was a lot of moving. It was a lot of moving in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, moving between, we moved a lot when we was in Alabama. We moved a lot, not as much from Gary, but we had 2 spaces we moved. We were out closer to my grandfather, and then we moved from there to Gary, Indiana, and to our Van Buren address before, we moved to Maryville. So there was some transitions through childhood that kind of had to adapt to, but that's the short of it, man.
So I appreciate you sharing that with me. We've been friends for a long time, right? And I think we've had a lot of deep conversations. A lot of deep conversations that have never been on camera before. Yeah. Some for the right reasons that they've never been on camera.
My man.
But saying all that, I didn't know that full lineage, right, of Sam Carter and going from Alabama. I mean, I knew you were born in Alabama. I knew you moved to Gary, Indiana, but I didn't know the kind of the nuance behind that. and just the feelings that go along with that, right? We share a lot of facts in day-to-day lives. We don't share a lot of emotions and feelings. So it's like, I was here and I moved from A and I moved to B and I moved to C and now I'm here.
Yeah.
End of story. Quick 5 seconds, but really, there are a lot of different things that go on.
There's a lot going on.
Into those.
There's a lot going on.
So, hearing the full thing for you, and the struggles and being thrown in there, and going from rural to the inner city and then into the suburbs and all those things, shapes you, right? It kind of prepares you, I would think, for service in the Marine Corps, maybe because you have to adapt to different things. So you enlist. What year was that?
97.
97.
I'm dating myself publicly right now. Like, you just put me on the spot.
Sorry, my bad, Doc.
Yeah. Everybody's like, Yeah. I'm an old man. I'm still young. We're still young.
Okay.
Come on, man. We're still young.
You joined a little bit before me.
Yeah.
By a little bit, I mean a year. But that is a couple
of days. Yeah.
So we kind of talked about your childhood, just obviously very briefly. So you enlisted in 1997. What does that landscape look like for you leading up to? I don't want to talk about any like deployment specifically yet, but from when you enlisted to the first time you left country, what was that experience like up until then?
Oh man, like from enlistment to like pre-deployment, deployment.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah, there's a lot that happened in between, right? Like there's a space between 97 and 2004,
Okay, so anything notable? Anything significant that may have shaped you later on?
That may have shaped me. You know what? I'm comfortable sharing some stuff I said in therapy.
Yeah.
Because I do think it was a shaping experience, as I kind of worked through, warrior transition in that space. I think this was an event for me because while it didn't resonate as much in the moment, I found myself coming back to it more and more. And it was a point of like confidence and curiosity. So let me share with you, my brother and I, we have been, I'm lucky enough to be super close with my brother.
Yeah.
And we done a lot together. And, Pops wanted us to make sure we were staying out of trouble while we were in Gary. And he had recommended we join this. It was a summer work program in Gary. And, I can't remember how old we were. We might have been 7th graders or 8th graders. I want to say 7th grade. We had to be still in middle school before we went to high school.
Yeah.
It was something that the city sponsored, is to give the kids jobs over the summer to keep them out of the streets
right.
from doing something crazy.
Makes sense.
And me and my brother we signed up for this program and we got jobs. And we were, one of the old elementary schools was renovating because a Catholic school was taking over the school. So it was basically, we're gonna clean everything out, strip everything down, install, new appliances, new water fountain, new toilets, new everything, repaint everything. They installed a new gym floor to the gym, so the gymnasium would actually be, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And we were cheap labor, but we got paid.
Okay.
We had paychecks, real money. As a middle school kid with a real job, we had to be on time for. We had hours we clocked in.
And this was all above board, legit.
This was all above board. It was a beautiful thing. It was sponsored by the city, so kids who got approved for the program could work this program. And it was a life lesson. Like there were so many life lessons I learned with that about like work, the value of work, the value of your check. It was so many life lessons. But the thing that I remember sharing that was a life-changing event for me at the time is we got our first paycheck. Me and my brother got our first paycheck. We cashed it. And I don't even think matter of fact, I know we didn't even have bank accounts yet. We went to a check cashing place to cash our checks. Yeah. And our parents was like, hey, you're going to learn all this on your own. Figure it out. And then when you have questions, come to us. We'll walk you through it. But right now, you're going to learn by pure fire. Go cash your check.
Yeah.
See how you spend it.
When you come back.
See how you spend it. So we were going to be smart. We cashed our check. So we were walking around with money in our pockets. We had fresh check.
Right. Earned. Yeah.
And this was maybe the third week on the job. We come in and we're going to go buy lunch. We didn't prepare lunch. We're going to walk to Rally's, which is like Checker Burgers.
Yeah.
We're going to walk to Rally's. We're going to buy our burger. And we're going to walk back, right? Like we had planned this. We had talked about this. So it was me, my brother, and another kid that was with us on the program called, his name was Vernon. And we called him Vern. And so it's me, my brother, and Vern. We clock out and head to lunch after we finished. We had to clean the bathroom, so they were stripping the floors of all the wax. Mm-hmm. And we had these long, obnoxious gloves that we were pulling junk out of the...
Easy job.
It was just pulling stuff out of the toilets. They had did something to the toilets, and then everything that was stuck in it came out, so we had to pull all the stuff out. It was a horror.
Goodness.
It was a life learning experience, but we were like, we have earned this space. We're walking to Rally's. We're having the absolute most obnoxious burger we can pay for before we walk back. We get milkshakes. This was it. So as we're walking, we clean up and we head to Rally's. Rally's may be about 4 blocks from where we are in the school. So we got 4 blocks. We get to the second block. There's a church on the corner. And, I don't even know if it was a stop sign or a light, but we were on the corner. Me, Alan, Vern walked to the next corner. This, I think it was like a Z250. I can't remember. Remember the old school Camaros? Mm-hmm. It was the Z.
Like the IROC type?
The IROC. It was an IROC rolled up, man. IROC rolled up, burning rubber. It was clean. It was one of the cleanest cars we saw. There's a dude that got out, walked to a girl that was standing on the corner. She was standing on the corner with her back up against the church that we saw. He shot her right there. Wow. Looked at her. She didn't insta-die. He shot her right here in the side of her face, and her body continued to keep moving in the sense of she was blinking and looking at him.
Right.
Whatever that was.
Yeah.
He didn't shoot her again. He just stared at her. We're still walking. Vern was the first one to like, hey, and I pat him on the shoulder. Keep walking. We keep walking. My brother gets closer to me. The dude turns around. He's still holding the gun. He looks at us. I nod my head, and we keep walking. And like Vern slows down because he's looking at the girl.
Yeah.
This woman is like, her back is up against the back of this church wall. She should be technically dead, but all of us see her body is still, for some reason,
doing something.
Yeah. I grab his shirt. I pull him closer. We keep walking. The guy turns forward of us, looking at us as little kids. I just nod my head and I keep walking. We keep walking. The minister or whoever was in the church at the time opens the door because he hears the gunshot. Comes out the steps. I guess the guy gets back and the IROC peels off. I tell the minister or the deacon or the pastor, I have no idea who this man is. He just came out of an open church. It was like, she or something. Because he didn't see her propped up against the wall.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, a middle schooler, and he's like, what happened? And I just point, and I grab both their shirts. We walk to Rally's. We get to Rally's. We have a meal. Not everybody's kind of talking right now. And I'm like, we here, we're safe, we okay. We finish our meal, we walk back. My brother's always been like, he'll say what he needs to say, and then he'll kind of move on. Vern was the one that was like, I'm going to say the obvious. I'm not going to, hey, what the hell just happened? And I'm like, we survived the day. That's what happened. The reason why that was important for me is because it was I took a moment of pride of being able to, like, I wasn't thinking about the trauma that just happened. I was thinking about keeping them safe.
Right.
And, like, the ownership of, I need to do what I need to do to keep them safe. Because that's the only thing I know how to do.
All right.
And, like, internalizing that was more of, when I'm really, really stressed, I work. When I'm really, really stressed, I have to take an action.
Yeah.
When I'm at the level, I have to turn it up more. Like, that was a coping mechanism for me. I coped by grabbing them. Like, the identity of stress, something happened, I couldn't freak. I couldn't express. It was protect, move. You know what I mean? Why that was important, I felt like that was the first thing of, like, cementing my identity, because I carried it with me.
Right.
And I carried that with me when I enlisted, of, like, it may be stressful, it may be hard, it may be some crazy days, but my natural instinct is to go harder.
Right.
Like, if it happens, just push.
Yeah.
And, like,
Come back to it, maybe.
It got me through boot camp. It got me through, initial training. It got me through all the milestones of every Marine's experience of, like, this course and that training, this training event, this exercise, this qualification, this certification, this. All right, this is a joint certification. You need to qualify for this if you're going to be able to do this, whatever. It was always, if I get stressed, I have to work. And that all started before I ever enlisted on that day. And I carried that memory with me, like, my whole life. It was, I can still see that girl's eyes, because it was like, I didn't know her from nothing. Like, but it was the sheer fact that her body could make contact, in a sense of eye contact with something that walked past after being shot in the head.
I mean, you could have been the last thing she ever saw. Honestly, right? I mean, that may sound crazy.
Yeah, man, that was, and me and my brother, we've only talked about it. Since me and him have existed on this earth together, we've only talked about it maybe 2 times in our lifetime.
Wow.
And one of those times was later that night. And he was like, his first question, his situation was, you think those guys will remember our faces?
Valid.
Valid question. And I was thinking,
I mean, there's only one answer,
no.
which is no.
No.
You got it.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what you think inside.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think they will.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right. And that was it. We talked about it later, when we were much older, when we had kids.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you remember? And I was like, yeah, I remember. I never forgot. Never forgot. And, like, I mean, it talks about how we process things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like.
I mean, it's not something you realize. Again, you have the immediate reaction. You're not thinking in that couple of seconds, okay, I'm going to think about this later. I'm just going to do that. You just react, right? There's nothing. You just react.
You just react.
And that builds that, I don't want to say, maybe it is a foundation, character foundation of later on in life, like how you process things and how you move on and how you become resilient and all these things. A lot of people aren't exposed to that before they put the uniform on.
Yeah.
They don't have those types of experiences or moments until they're wearing it, right? And they're so. So if you think about, and we can talk about whatever now, right? Any time in service or anything like that. I mean, you kind of open up, right? And that's some pretty deep stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
right there. So enjoy some of your food, man. We can keep talking.
Yeah.
I
mean,
so
food together.
So when you think back, and you probably don't have to think very hard, but in terms of some of the things that have shaped, who you are, some of your thinking, that you think may be attached to some of the maybe struggles you've dealt with, throughout your life, that's clearly, obviously, one of them, right? And that's there. Was there, outside of that, in uniform, was there a specific, and for those of you that are, watching this next week or even 3 or 4 years from now, Sam and I have talked about a lot of stuff, which I mentioned earlier. Scouts honor. I was never a Boy Scout, but Scouts honor or something.
Yeah.
We've never had this conversation.
We have not.
So
we've talked about a lot.
We've talked about a lot. So this is real.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the vulnerability. Before we even getting anything on that.
Sure.
So again, thinking about the shaping, and was there a specific event, specific deployment, something that sticks out to you that kind of, I don't say pushed you over the edge, not the right word, but maybe you realize later on, like, hey, that was a defining moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about a lot over the years, and I have to give you credits for the times in which you share with the crew and share with me. You've been vulnerable. You've opened yourself up to say, these are the challenges I've experienced. Mm-hmm. These are the things I've seen, and this is what I'm sharing with the crew and with the group of you guys, so you guys can be open and honest with me.
Yeah.
And if I can help, I will help. And if I need help, I'm coming to you. Yeah. So you saying that's powerful.
Yeah,
man.
That means a lot to me.
Yeah, that means a lot to anyone who interacts with you. Yeah. So, I share that. In my deployment space, to answer your question, my therapist, right? There's a Marine that stands out that I didn't say his name out loud to anyone else publicly until like the last 2 years of my time in uniform. And I think I shared it with that campsite one night, and that was the first time I had shared that story with anybody beside that closed room with my therapist. Like, I just wasn't ready to talk about it. Salem Bachar was how do I describe him, man? Like, he was a jovial Marine. Like, this dude was a stereotypical intel dude, right? Like, he just multifaceted with a whole bunch of just random skills for absolutely no reason, and all of a sudden joined the Marine Corps. You know what I mean?
And the Marine Corps got the benefit.
Yeah. I mean, like, he was an Arabic linguist that also spoke fluent Spanish. We had him on MEF-G2 staff, and he was working as an O231, as an analyst. And Salem Bachar was a funny, absolute hilarious dude who also was a musician. He played multiple instruments. He was one of the guys that brought the Chappelle Show to Fallujah in 2004.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
And I don't know if those were bootleg DVDs. I can't speak. If he got them at the bazaar, at the market. He brought those in the building. And, when the days ended on the work day, and we had that window right between night shift and day shift, we throw it into the thing, and, a couple of us will be back watching a couple of episodes of Chappelle Show. Bachar was hilarious. He had a natural sense to connect with people. He had a natural human. He was a corporal that everybody in our entire staff knew and loved. He was just a good human being.
Yeah.
And why he touched me so much was Bachar would sometimes come hang out. We had set up like a video game area in the back on the other side of the skiff. We had like a little, in the BTC room, we had set up an Xbox and we play Halo. And this was like the midnight crew when everybody else was asleep, and the only people that are up, if something goes down, we have to wake everybody else up. So we like the fire watch of the fire watch. And we get a couple of minutes of Halo in when nobody's looking, man. And Bachar he'd stay up and come back there. And he wanted to. He was curious about doing counter intel. He wanted to join one of the head teams. He was like, I want to do something more than sit back and translate or be an analyst. I want to be out in the fight. I want to do something.
Yeah.
And this was 04, 05 days, 06 days, where limited resources in country. This was the argument about getting up armor. This was way before those super tanked out MRAPs.
Yeah.
So, QRF and resupply was available bodies. So HET team had, when they had additional security to kind of move around, it was who within your platoon company could kind of help out. So they were always looking for volunteers to kind of resupply folks. And he really wanted to do counter intel. He wanted to go through that. He wanted to be, a top marine. So one night, the night we playing Halo, he's back there. I'm young staff, so I'm newly promoted, fresh out of school, fresh into the fight.
Lab move,
yeah. Right? Like, I'm still finding my way within the community.
Yeah.
And learning how the Trojan works. I'm still learning my way. And the war dog is like, I want to get in the fight, boss. And we're just talking about it. We're just talking about what we know about the world. And I'm like, if there's something you really want to do, just then go do it.
Yeah.
Like, HET's always looking for support. They're always looking for someone to help with resupply, to help with, movement, to help the transport. They're undermanned, they're understaffed, they're under-resourced, they're under everything. And they're in the middle of the fight in all the craziest places, right? If this is something you want to do, look in with the team and get to know what that mission is before you sign up for it. Like, know it. And that's what he did. And he went on his first mission. Came back, he's blown away. He's like, this is it. This is what I'm doing. He's like, I'm going back. I'm going back tomorrow. I'm like, all right. If you can rotate, do your thing, man.
Right.
So when we got the SIGINT event, that Bachar went down from an IED, roadside bomb, and it was through and through. There was no medevac. It was boom, he's down, KIA. It hit me, man, a whole different type of way, because something inside me felt like I sent him there.
Right. Like,
I put him in that situation. I pushed him. Like, I felt like that. Like, I internalized it. And it didn't, I didn't voice that with anybody. It was more like that I just put that young man in that situation. And it hurt, man. It hurt. And like, we retrieved him. Mm-hmm. We brought him back. And then there's an entire Keiko process about how to return angels home. And it was two things that happened that I just like, I couldn't regulate. I couldn't regulate nothing. One thing that happened was, Colonel Devlin was the G2 at the time. Mm-hmm. Awesome dude. Major Demetri Henry was our plans officer. Mm. He's a plans officer or OPSO, I can't remember, because he did a lot.
Yeah.
He was OPSO plans officer. He was in the G2 office at the time. And I was trying to plead with Colonel Devlin that one of us had to take Bachar back. And he was trying to explain to me the Keiko process. Like, there's a way in which we bring fallen angels home. Mm-hmm. It's a very structured process. This isn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's a structured process. I am unraveling.
Right.
Like,
I don't care.
It's happening.
Put me in the process.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I'm taking him home.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking him home. And I'm like, I'm there. And Major Henry, he clears the room. I don't know what he says to Colonel Devlin and walk out. Colonel Devlin is going to another meeting. He's like, you guys got it. I am unraveling. I am loud. I'm animated. I'm like, I'm taking him home, right? Like, we brought him here. I'm screaming.
Yeah.
And, Major Henry at the time, I have to give you some context. At the time, Major Henry, as a Mustanger, we used to tease him sometime because the old man looks young. We swerving down that when he crossed over, he was like an old salty curmudgeon gunny, because he was absolute chief smack talker of the G2. Like, he talked smack to every Marine there. We all loved him for it, but he was the chief smack talker. Yeah. He was always very direct. And as I'm like completely unraveling, he just kind of walks up to me, real casual. Nothing to skip, like we in that space, real casual, real slow. He was like, what exactly, and I don't know how you worded it. I don't know the exact words, but I know the intent was, what exactly do you think you're going to do? We're going to bring him home. All of us are. The entire institution is going to bring him home. Not one person. Not one person. It's never one person. It's always all of us. He'll get home and we'll remember him. And like, I was able to kind of snap out of it.
Yeah.
Because the major was just standing in front of me. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't screaming. He wasn't talking smack. But he was saying, we still got a mission to do here. And that doesn't mean we forget him. That means we carry him.
That's right.
And like, we keep it going. And man, it wrecked me, man. But I was able to kind of snap into a space to, well, hi, sir, I got him. We plugged out, and then like, not even a couple of days later, maybe a week later, I don't know how long it was, his wife, Christine sent an email she sent a letter to the unit. Bachar was 20 years old, man. Out of Chula Vista. He's an Arabic language out of Chula Vista, spoke Spanish, SoCal. And his wife sent a letter, and the letter was just saying how much he enjoyed being a Marine and how much he had shared his time with us. Wrecked me all over again.
Yeah, started all over.
I was gone. Like it was, couldn't sleep, couldn't wake. I was just gone. It was wrecked. Because for some reason I had this pit of belly, this instinct. I put him in that situation.
Right. The guilt thing.
The guilt was bad. Yeah. It was heavy. It was stupid. And he was such a loved soul by our entire detachment. Like everybody loved him. And again, it was like, next day, how do I cope next day? Start boxing this into a thing.
Right.
And man, I don't know what day it was. I don't know what Marine said it. We were all talking about when we went to his memorial, because we had a memorial in Fallujah for him.
Yeah.
And, everybody spoke, and it was like, I think he impacted so many people when we got to his memorial, and it was so crowded, and so many people in Fallujah showed up. Folks were off mission, off profile, off everything. The young corporal had touched so many people in so many places. It was more than 200 people there, man, in Fallujah, at the camp, in his, at his event. And I think all of us were even more surprised of all of us, how many people he interacted with.
Yeah.
And then it was like, all right, we have to do better. In a sense of, we have to do more. We have to pay attention. We have to never take anything for granted. Right. Always give that second effort. It was like
it pushes you.
Yeah, it was a push you.
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes you can push yourself a little too much when it gets to an unhealthy space.
Yeah.
So I think Bachar took me to where I couldn't regulate. I found a place to regulate, and I kind of came back. But it was always, based on what I learned of myself in the early childhood, that I could push to where I had to make, I knew a sacrifice. I watched the sacrifice. I could never take a second for granted, not a single second. I needed to push harder to where I was always in a space to where I need to push it to the breaking point.
I mean, I've never seen you not push hard.
To the breaking point, man.
I mean, anybody that knows Sam Carter could say the same thing, whether they know you a little bit or whether they know you a lot.
Yeah.
That's, motivation comes from a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Right? But, fear of failure motivates me in this section of my life. It wasn't a motivator in uniform like I think the areas that you were just talking about, right, with pick an event, right, because Mine don't mirror yours, but they're there, and I'm a glass half full guy. I've always been positive, right? I always try to look on the bright side. So even in the ugliness, loss, grief, death, I personally try to look for some sort of learning point, something that, when I remember a specific situation, a person, a scenario that may have not ended the way I wanted it to end, I don't want that to be the only thing I think about and the only memory of that, right? I want to recall something else. So, from the earlier event, from your childhood, you and your brother and Vern walking the street and seeing that event, all the way up to Fallujah, right? Those events are different and distinct, but the result of pushing and going the extra mile and doing all these things came from the same space, right? It came from the same space of, I don't know what else to do, but just to, just to go hard.
Yeah.
And just as much as I do that ends up being not healthy.
Yeah.
For a lot of different reasons,
Yeah.
Personally, professionally, mentally, physically, anything. It's just not healthy. So how long did you carry that before, those events, that event from Fallujah and that feeling? How long did you carry that before you actually said something to anyone?
We lost Bachar in 2006. I think the first time I talked about or I said his name out loud was 2016.
What?
No. 2019. It was before COVID. First time I said his name out loud like that. I was ashamed, I was just ashamed.
Ashamed from the guilt that you were feeling? It just morphed in, yeah.
I mean, you have guilt in that space,
Yeah.
and then it's shame because, you think about things that could have been different.
Yeah.
Things that I could have done different, or things I could have said different. Obsessed over that. And during the later years when I was working on our MOS modernization, I had worked myself into this fit of, if we could improve some of our processes, like really wrap ourselves around the data stuff and the engineering stuff and getting smart about how we use technology, like we never have to put Marines in those type of situations ever again.
Right.
Because we'd have technology and
Right.
tools
Machines,
and
something to do the
machines
process.
to do
Yeah,
these
yeah.
processes.
Yeah.
I had latched on to that because I was like, this is why I'm still here and he's gone. Kind of like, because I'm going to find a way to crack the code to never put anybody in that situation ever again. Wherever I can influence. It's not a healthy place.
Yeah.
It took some maturity, but it also took some breaking down because I carried that all the way to the end until I could carry it in.
So what happened in 2019 that made you say his name, or what got you to that point?
It was random. It was. We were talking about. We had put together this enterprise data lab, and it was proof of concept type of scenario at headquarters Marine Corps. So we're so far removed from operational space as far as we can get from, mainstream operations.
Yeah.
We were in Never Never Land with Never Never Land ideas. We were out there.
Whiteboard, just go.
Yeah, we were out there. And it was also that time that we're, within the community. I had already handed the keys and the baton over to the next generation of dudes to take it the direction they wanted to go. And I was just trying to crack the code on what a central repository of knowledge would look like.
Yeah.
Before I, took the uniform off. And it was, I don't even think it was a person in uniform. It might have been one of the government civilians or someone that was an external contract providing support. Asked me a very direct question. And it might have been like stomp the chump type of situation.
Yeah.
But it was like, why are you doing this? That was the question. Why are you doing this? Why is this important to you? And I started telling his story. I have no idea why. I have no idea where it came from. It was unprepped. It was unchoreographed. It was on everything, man. Like I had nothing. Yeah. I'm driven to make sure maybe this doesn't happen again. And I don't even know if what I'm saying makes sense. I understand this may be completely illogical. I don't even know if my brain is wired right to share. But like, I don't know, man. Like, I carry his death with me. So I'm here to try to make sure nothing like that happens again. And like, two things responded in that moment. The people in the room, there were a few people in uniform, was like, I'm going to talk to him after this. Some of the civilian contractors was like, I don't know what that has to do with AWS or Azure.
Right.
Right. So they was like, check out, I'm somewhere else. But it was something that before the meeting ended, I realized what I had just said out loud. And that was when I started my journey with Intrepid Spirit. Going through that, like, all right, I think maybe I should talk to somebody.
So that was the moment where you're like, I know I'm not okay. Like leading up to that, had you had those thoughts of like, hey, I'm not doing well? I think that was just.
I think I had the signs that you could ignore.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'd gone days without sleeping so many times in my career that I prided myself on 4 to 5 hours of sleep. Like, I could function. Bouts of insomnia where I just didn't sleep. And it was like, well, it's 3 o'clock. I'm awake. If I didn't go to sleep, let's go work. And I would log in and do some work until about 5:30 and go PT, go to work. And I prided myself. Like, it was a sense of pride that I could do that. I didn't need to brag.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can run 48 hours if I need to. I can still do it. That was signs, One of the signs I had to pay attention to was from my wife, it was one of those weeks I wasn't sleeping regularly. I'd go to bed, but once she went to sleep, I'd get up, log on and do work. And, I came back because I always try to get back in bed before she woke up so she wouldn't know I was gone.
Right.
That was the cheat.
I'm here the whole time.
I've been here all the time. She looked at me, she was like, I don't know what's going on with you, but you're wound up like a toy. She's like, everything about you is just like a muscle that's just cramped, and it just keeps recramping. And I think that might be a problem. And so I was like, whatever.
It'll work out.
It'll work out. Yeah. So there was signs leading up to it. That was some other things, but
yeah,
there were all things that I could ignore. You know what I mean? There was stuff that I could just kind of brush off of. This is not really an issue. Yeah, that's being weak. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, just go. I know I can go. One thing I know I can do is when there's
hit the gas.
Hit the gas.
Hit the gas.
Man. I can hit the gas.
Speed.
I can hit the gas. But that moment when I'm like publicly in a presentation telling a story that has nothing to do technically, I knew I was like, all right, I think I might have hit the pedal too hard. And that was when I knew I needed to go seek help.
So did you seek, I know you talked about Intrepid Spirit, and we'll get in a second, but
yeah.
Did you talk to anybody else before you went and sought professional help? Was there, was there another friend or another coworker? I know Monica kind of was like, hey, you got to do something. I mean, were you sharing anything with anybody else before you went to seek professional help?
No, not directly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are, like we all do, we probably don't know a good way to communicate a cry for help type of situation, because we may not even acknowledge that we need help, the actual feeling. Sure. So we just suppress it completely. So I think there were moments in where I was kind of reaching for people, but I didn't know how to reach for them. So like I'm saying the words, but because I don't believe any of the words that I'm saying, they don't come out as a genuine, like I'm asking for help. And I think people do that. Like if you don't know how to ask for help,
right,
you can't actually articulate. You actually
you're hoping somebody else recognizes.
You're hoping somebody recognizes
and say, hey, I've seen this, and this looks familiar, and this looks, and obviously in uniform, we're trained for a lot of those aspects.
Come on, man. We are trained to go.
So
my fear was like after, publicly doing that, and that, my wife is noticing that I'm just still wound, and I've got to a point to where some of the coping mechanisms that I had used no longer worked.
Yeah.
And I realized that those were coping mechanisms. I hadn't dealt with any of the stuff that was underneath that, I was carrying for the years of all the different things. They weren't working no more because they had ran the course.
Right.
And the fear was I was either going to croak at my desk. I'd be at my desk one day, have a heart attack and completely collapse. And then everybody would ask him, like, what happened? Like,
Right. God was perfect health. He was amazing.
He was healthy as a horse. And then
he ate at 4:30 every morning.
He died right there at his desk. Yeah. Or I would have a stroke somewhere else and my kids would find me.
Yeah.
Like I'd be somewhere and I'd stroke out and my young kids would see me like find my body and my ankles hanging out, from underneath the sink because I'm trying to fix a pipe or something, and then that's when it happens. So those are the things that kind of drove me to like, I need to go.
So, for those that don't know, tell me a little bit about Intrepid Spirit, kind of what went into that, not necessarily your specific, treatment or anything, but
sure.
What is Intrepid Spirit? Like, what's the point behind it?
Yeah.
What does it look like? What's it there for?
Man, one of the best kept secrets in DoD medicine, right? There are all-inclusive. It's not just behavioral health.
Yeah.
And I think if you label them behavioral health and mental health support, you will miss 80% of what they do. They usually only catch people when they transition out of the military because that's the only time they have time to really go through the regimen of, and they interact a lot with wounded warriors. So Wounded Warrior Regiment, helps with or interacts with Intrepid Spirit. And they are global. There's one at all, major installations, Army, Marines, they're there. They are a department attached to, the healthcare, DoD healthcare system. And even in the short version, my journey was I got a referral. Like I went in, I found behavioral health. I said, hey, we can run the labs. I'm not in here for meds. I don't want any pills. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to stroke out in front of anybody.
Yeah.
Verbatim is what I said. It was like, what do you mean? You think you're going to stroke out? I was like, whatever I'm processing, whatever I'm going through right now, whatever I was coping with at this point isn't working anymore. And my body is starting to shut down in different ways. And the short version to kind of lead to it too is like right before I got into that program was the first time I'd ever had a panic attack. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know what a panic attack actually was because I never experienced one prior to that. And I didn't even know where it came from. And, to this day, I don't really know how to describe it. As like when you just unexplainable anxiety. Like what's happening in the world where all of a sudden I have a rush of anxiety.
Overwhelming.
Just overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it was shortness of breath. I couldn't get a full lung of air. Mm-hmm. And it was like, And I'm like, I'm not running. I don't know why I'm breathing shallow. Like all of a sudden I'm sprinting. I'm not sprinting. I'm sitting here. And it was like, that panic attack was like, I'm going to stroke out. I am literally going to stroke out. So I'm in behavioral health saying, I don't know what's going on with my body, but I don't want to die this way. Like I didn't
help me, please.
Help. Yeah. This ain't the way I want to go.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a professional there.
Yeah.
And they gave me a referral to Intrepid Spirit. Intrepid Spirit ran the gauntlet, and they got me help. And it was like, all I kept thinking was, more people in uniform need to know about this resource.
Yeah.
And I hope others have resources that can that bring you in and run the gauntlet. And it's like, we're not going to say we're going to cure anything, but we're going to run you through all the treatments we have access to. And whatever hits, like whatever resonates with your system, that's the one we're going to give you more of. And they run you through the gauntlet of all the different things. And like, you go through the experience. You go through, man, I went to music therapy.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, I never thought in my life I'd be in music therapy. But I'm in music therapy thinking, it ain't that bad, man. It's all right. You know, it's all right.
Pretty good.
It's feel pretty good,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, but having that space to do it.
Yeah.
And
explore.
Yeah. The other part too, share with the camera, another part why I think it's a good resource is I was able to do it in private. And this discussion with you and, your channel is not quite as private.
That's true.
But, I'm very private with those things. And that's my part of my upbringing. My family's private. We don't do those things in public. We don't talk about those things in public. You handle those things in private. You always show strength, period, under any circumstance.
Well, I think a lot of people believe, right or wrong, asking for help is weak, right? It's a weakness.
Yeah.
Which stops a lot of people.
It stops a lot of people.
Yes.
And it's the absolute wrong way to go about it. It's bad. It's bad. And because it's bad, what ends up happening is it promotes worse health. You know what I mean? Like, if the show of strength is not talking about it and just saying, suck it up and move on, nobody cares. Okay. Double down on the folks who do need to reach out to get help. Mm-hmm. And then for the people who are strong or feel like, not strong, that's the wrong word, people who feel like, hey, I'm in a good space. Yeah. It doesn't put them in a position to reach and help the folks that need an extra lift, because they're not in a position to even see them, to give them the hand to say, hey, you know what, you're in that space, I got you. We're going to move to the next step. So you're right, man, you're more than right. So I appreciated what that experience gave me, because I was able to go through that in private.
And how long did you stick with that, or in that, with Intrepid Spirit and going through that? What was that? How long was that process for you?
I think that was about maybe about 6 or 7 months.
Okay.
6 or 7 months.
And while you were in there, working through the different emotions, different feelings, different things, and going through the different therapies. Yeah. Do you remember the time when or maybe you haven't, but do you remember the time where you first started sharing this with Monica or sharing it with somebody in the family? Did that?
Yeah. I didn't share a lot with her in the beginning. Yeah. It was more of like, I don't want to burden her with my stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, I need to figure it out and handle it, and not put that on her plate to carry on her shoulders. Like, I'm a protector. Like, I'm her protector. Right. Like, I want to protect her from anything that's negative.
That's a wrong thought.
It's so naive and
but it worked in the moment.
In the moment, it sounded good.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I had to have surgery on my neck. Mm-hmm. I C5, C6. They quit. They refused to train. They gave up on me. It's like, look, you know what? I'm done. So, like, herniated disc. I had tissue pushing up against the spinal cord. I started losing control of my left arm. I was in a bad spot. Like I couldn't do a full push-up because this thing was just going.
You know what that's from, don't you?
What's that?
Body hardening. Sorry, man. I just can't. I can't let it go. I can't let it go. For those of you that don't know,
Oh my God,
my man Sam here was,
oh man,
one of the founding fathers of martial arts in the Marine Corps.
It was a group of us.
Yeah. So those of you that get the body hardening joke, that was for you guys.
It was.
Sorry.
Hoorah, McMap.
Yeah.
Yeah. McMap is on my VA claim for some other reasons.
No doubt.
So,
No doubt.
Yeah. So, when I had to have surgery, my mom stayed, just to kind of make sure Monica had help with the kids and to kind of move back and forth in case I needed extra help or whatever, whatever done. And I was a little nervous about the surgery. It was literally a week after my official retirement, or my retirement ceremony.
Yeah.
I got extended because of, convalescent surgery and stuff. So I was still on active duty as I was processing. My out of uniform, ceremony was like the last week of November, right before Thanksgiving. And then my surgery was like December 1st or something like that. We had finished up the retirement ceremony. We were cleaning things up, and I was pulling out, I guess, one of my old Foot Lockers or, stuff I had. And I pulled out things from my OF deployment. And I pulled out dog tags and things we had from Iraq, stuff I picked up from Bachar. And I had a unit photo of all of us in that deployment. And I saw Bachar's face. And I melted. I just started crying. I was boo-hooing. And Monica instinctively, before asking me what's wrong, she just grabbed me and hugged me. And I was inconsolable. I couldn't regulate. I was gone. And I had to tell her. I'm like, this is the kid. This is the guy that I've carried with me for so long.
She had no clue.
I never told her.
Had you thought about telling her ever?
No. I mean, stubborn.
Yeah.
Of like, don't burden others
Sure.
with your stuff. I never told her. And I said like, hey, I've carried this. And she said, what else have you carried? She had never heard the story about, the girl getting shot in front of the church. She never heard any of the other stories, from childhood to time in the service and, things that I was worried about. And Monica's Monica. She said, listen. She said, all right. You don't have to carry this alone, right? We married, right? Like one of those, like,
Right.
you can be strong.
Little nudge. little nudge.
She's like, hey.
She knew you long enough.
She's like, welcome to the world, man. Like, where you been? So we shared. I shared. And then, she said, I'm not alone. And, together we have kids to raise. We have a family to support. Yeah. And we are always in this together. It gave me some confidence that fear I felt like I was going to dump some weight on her.
Right.
And, that would be.
Wasn't the case.
It wasn't the case. She was like, I've been waiting to pop this balloon for a while. Because if you think I didn't know you was walking around with a water balloon.
You crazy.
You're crazy, man.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm married to you. You don't think I see that balloon?
So we think we suppress it, right?
We don't.
But, to keep with the water balloon analogy, I mean, it just keeps filling with water.
It just keeps filling with water.
You can only hide it for so long. So if you can recall it, and I'm sure you can, after sharing all that with her, I mean, did you feel relief? Did you feel joy? What do you remember?
One, it was a weight. It was more like, I never felt like I was holding a secret. It wasn't like I was holding a secret from her.
Yeah.
But it was more like, these are things she didn't know I carried, so there was a relief of someone else knows his name in this, in that space. And,
why that?
I think it was good that we could we could share, because one of the things, she had talked a little bit about we didn't talk a lot about my deployments. That was one of the things that she was respectful of me not asking details about. So what was your deployments like? She never went into that interrogation.
I've never heard that question. For people that I don't know, I've heard that question.
Yeah.
For people that really know me, they know not to ask me that.
Why do you think they never ask? The folks that are really close to you, that know you.
I think part of it could be afraid. They're afraid of knowing what you went through or what you saw, them not being able to relate and feel like they can adequately be there for you and support you. And I think that again, I'm shooting from the hip here.
Yeah.
I think that's hard for somebody who's supposed to share a life with you or be a part of your life, whether it's family, close friends. You have that connection with somebody, and there's like, hey, you always hear, I got your back.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. I love you no matter what.
Yeah.
Until they hear something that makes them think differently about you.
Yeah.
It's if I was on the other end, that's how I would be looking at it. It's one of those things, right? You don't know what you don't know, and then when you ask it and you get the answer, you can't unhear it.
Yeah.
You can't unsee it. You can't unfeel it.
You can't unfeel it.
It's there.
Yeah.
I think that could be true with anything in life, right? I mean, there's questions that I wish I would, obviously, my mom passed a couple years ago. There's questions I wish I would have asked my mom that I never did, because maybe I didn't want to know the answer.
Yeah.
Or I was too afraid, right? I think there's some similarities with that, right? Take out the context of you went on deployment or multiple deployments. You saw death. You saw shit that you wish you never would have seen and you've never processed, or you process it later in life. Those aren't normal visions and normal things for people to see. So to your question, though, I think when some people are just afraid of what the answer is going to be, I think for me personally, not even I believe for me personally, I don't always in that context and in that subject specifically, I don't put off, or I was never really putting off the vibe of, hey, I would love for you to ask me about this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's go to Old Time Country Buffet or whatever it was in Jacksonville, right?
Yeah.
At the end of
was it an open door?
Or 24 or whatever. Yeah. I would love to have everything that happened on my deployment.
Yeah.
If you think about the op tempo in that time frame, most people were 7 out, 5 back, 7 out, 5 back.
Yep.
And when you're doing that, there's no time for reflection. There's no time for. It's just straight compartmentalization.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Post deployment. You got leave block, pre deployment.
That's right.
You getting ramped up for the next row.
That's right. So, and like you mentioned earlier, right? You get good at certain things, and you know nothing but to hit the gas. Right, all gas, no brake, all gas, no brake, and it ends up being the same thing in life. I know for me, coming back after my second deployment, I was all gas all the time, emotionally, verbally. And I recognized that it was wrong. I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to do anything else. You
got things done. Things happen.
So sometimes I wish people would ask.
Did you?
I said sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
I
was always afraid somebody would ask that legitimately wanted to know. In the sense of, people will casually ask. Like, hey, or some stranger.
Yeah,
that you
that's
don't
like,
know.
how's the weather type
Yeah,
shit.
how's the weather?
They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Right? They just hear, oh, you were in the Marine Corps? Oh, you deployed?
Yeah.
Or pick a service?
Yeah. I had like a hidden, I wouldn't say a fear, I wouldn't say afraid, but I had some trepidation that like my mom would corner me in the kitchen one day and be like, what's a memory, like one memory that stands out to you in your time in Afghanistan? Like one that you never told me.
That hits me like you're asking me right now.
Bro, like...
I'm in the kitchen right now, my eyes closed, and I could feel it.
I felt like at some point, somebody was going to do that to me.
Yeah.
No one ever did.
Were you ready for it?
I was never ready.
Anticipate it?
I mean, I was nervous for it, in a sense I was nervous what emotion would arrive, because everything else was controlled. Like I had control, and I assumed that I would be in control in that situation to where I could answer like, yeah, nothing, Camp Bastion had Brits in it, and those guys have a good time, like,
right.
Yeah, I could,
Half-truths.
Half-truths, right. But I wouldn't know if like something would pop and I would dysregulate.
Yeah.
And then I'm emotional. And now I'm like,
Can't control it.
Now it's just vomiting,
So, you talking about your mom cornering you.
She never did, by the way.
Yeah, it's good. My mom was actually the first person I told that I was diagnosed with PTSD. She was the first person I ever shared that with. I don't even know why I did share it with her. And
did she ask?
She did, and I think I just got to the point where I overflowing.
Yep.
The lid's going to pop, and I just got to say it. And mom's mom, and she love me no matter what.
Yeah.
And I remember telling her, and she just listened. Right? I mean, I didn't go into a lot of detail, but I just said, "Hey, I'm seeking help. This is why I'm seeking help. This is, these are the triggers for me. This is why they're the triggers for me. If you're a research guy, right? Like, no doubt, you're a research guy. Even before diagnosis of any type, anxiety, depression, PTSD, whatever it is, if you are diagnosed, or even if you're thinking you have that, and you do any research, it's a matter of time before you land on the DSM-5, right? It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And then you start, going through all the different criterion and all these different things of, okay, I have one of these, I have 3 of these, and, according to page 67 of the DSM-5, I have anxiety or I have depression, right? Yeah. It's like the next level WebMD version of my back hurts and I have a toothache and my nose is running. So that's where I started, right, for me, and I started doing research based on the feelings and the thoughts that I was having. And so after I was after getting like official medical diagnosis and going through that and sharing that with my mom, when I tie this together, it almost felt like I was going down the list of what it takes, not what it takes, but what is medically diagnosable as PTSD or, something of that, some type of disorder like that, in trying to explain it to my mom so that she understands not just Eric saw bad shit, right? Or Eric, whatever. Hey, this is what happened. This is how it makes me feel. This is how it doesn't make me feel, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But similarly to what you were saying earlier, in when you brought up the memory out of nowhere at the Enterprise,
Talking about the data lab.
Out of nowhere, right? It was kind of very similar with in regards to the conversation with my mom, where it's in there, And now it's Tuesday, June 27th, and here it comes.
The water balloon pops, man.
Yeah. So but back to you. So, Intrepid Spirit had the experience, multiple months after the fact. You're hitting retirement, and you have this moment with Monica. You shared that with anybody else in the family? Is Monica the only one?
She was. I mean, my mom's heard some of it.
Yeah.
She gave me space. Monica heard a little bit more because she just let me go. And in her defense, this brought her. In her defense, she was just kind of like, look, I need you to understand. Like, she never ever approached me as like, I know exactly what that experience is like. Like, I've been there with you, so I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Not once. But for her, it was like, tell me more. Because I wasn't there. I know nothing about what that experience is. But I know who you are. And I know the type of person, the man that you are. And the only thing, like, I want to know is how that hurts you so I can help it not hurt you.
Yeah.
That's it. She's like, I got no other thing to offer. Like, I wasn't there. So
That's enough, by the way.
that was powerful. Like, I'm managing my emotions now, so I'm not in tears telling you this story as much as it like makes my tear ducts like pack. But I was sharing with her things that were significant that I didn't have emotional responses to, that I thought like maybe something was wrong with me because I knew those snapshots in time and I could see them clearly as memories that I'll know I won't forget.
Yeah.
Like, I know the resupply mission I was on, that the bodies were burning in the streets. This was right before Al-Fajr, so it was right before we went directly in, and like, I remember that smell, like the smell of burning flesh. Like, I remember that smell, and I was telling her, like, that is a distinct, very, very, very distinct smell. You will never smell that in any other place. And we had a group doing work with, pocket litter.
Yeah.
Who lived in this space of, trying to do pocket litter. And one of the Marines had did that mission for a while. And I remember how that smell impacted me. And I remember looking at the Marine that did that for months at a time. And I remember how their face looked. Like, that's the memory that stuck to me of, like, I was on a patrol driving past the smell of corpses on fire, and you lived in that space for months, checking pocket litter. The second one, you remember the Marlboro Man that was all over Times? The dead eye look, 1,000-yard stare with the Marlboro cigarette. We, MEF staff had a thing to where we went to go relieve the Marines that did the pump house, that secured the pump house out there for Christmas, because they were coming back to camp to get hot food, hot showers, and a good night's rest. And all the staff, headquarters, like, look, the boys been at the pump house for like 6 months. They should be able to come home and have a Christmas meal. Like, let's go. So, we were out there. I think it was like a 2-day stay. So we was out there 2 days. And me and, I think the guy that was with me was, I think that's who was with me at the time. And one of the Marines had to come out there and burn the shitter barrels. Got to, pour the diesel fuel in, burn it up. So I guess he either was like to stay back to do it, or he was just kind of moving from outlying fobs, burning shit before he went back to camp. And this devil dog out there, man, pulled down his coveralls, tied him in a knot around his waist, got his helmet on off to the side, threw his flak jacket off. Man's out there burning a top pile of shit. I mean, like, the can is full. It's Mount Suribachi. He's burning in diesel fuel. He's eating an MRE pound cake. And he's smoking a cigarette. And he's just staring off at where the sheep herders were, at the grass by the pump house. And we were looking at that guy. Like, he need to go home.
Gone. Yeah,
he's gone, man.
Yeah, he's gone.
Like, there is
Guaranteed.
There's nothing left, man.
Devoid of all emotion, nothing.
He was just burning
He was
shit
there, yeah.
for about 15 minutes, eating that pound cake, smoking that cigarette. And if you want to talk about what was seasoning that pound cake, you can also talk about what was seasoning that cigarette that he smoked all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Soon as the filter was hitting, he just lit another one and kept smoking. That memory was done, man. I remember those moments. I was sharing these stories with Monica.
Yeah.
And, in her grace, she never said, I get it. I know what you're saying. Yeah. I was there. Her thing was, what about that experience sticks with you? Like, why is it here? Why is that memory so vivid? She asked me those questions in a sense of, like, she wanted to know why it was important, not why it exists.
Correct.
And that was very helpful.
Yeah.
Because it was like I knew what people looked like that were dead inside, and I knew elements that I had somewhat attached for obsessing over overworking.
Yeah.
So there was some connective tissue there, and she was like, all right.
So Monica, obviously, huge supporter, of Sam Carter.
Yeah.
Did you have any other supporters, through this journey and kind of navigating through?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, once I got past that pace, I would say that the other big support was from the Wolfpack.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much your viewers know about the Wolfpack of
I think 75% of my subscribers right now are the Wolfpack. It may not. It probably won't be like that forever. But
hey, listen, the Wolfpack is what held me down.
Yeah.
I was able to share some stuff with her. Obviously, not everything. Obviously, not all the things in which your fears, so to speak.
Sure.
But I was able to share the things that I like, that I felt like was causing these secret panic attacks, that was causing that moment where I felt like I would stroke out, and then this weird obsession I had that I was embarrassed by the fact that I might stroke out and somebody might see me that way, right? The Wolfpack was it. The senior leaders of all of us who have known each other for all these years, that are connected.
Yeah.
That we go to the camping site once a year. The group chat and text each other nonstop. Every other day, if not multiple times a day, like, we stay connected. That group was able to kind of help me move to, I would say, a healthier space, because I was able to dump there.
Yeah.
Each year, it's like this.
Every Friday, right?
Every Friday, it was out of control.
Yeah.
I blame that on show. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was, that was like our support group, man.
It is.
I mean,
yeah,
everybody.
100%.
Everybody. I mean, Willie being the empathetic that just knows. He knows what's going on without your words. He doesn't need your words to know what's going on. Sean being the instigator. Like, the crew itself has all the right, I would say,
Just a mix.
the season of ingredients to create the right
Keep
stew.
it with cooking.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
The right stew. So yeah, I mean, if that's
No, when you say support, I mean that's support,
that support,
right? That's support.
that's powerful. The Johns.
I'm glad I can share that support network with you.
Of
right.
course.
I mean, we work through that together. Of that, right? So support networks, and you have other things you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Right. Outside of the data lab, which I know that was a different chapter ago.
That was a different chapter, yeah.
So you get out of the Marine Corps, right? You go to school.
Yep.
You're doing those things. You obviously are a passionate writer.
Yep.
So is the writing piece that you're in, and you can explain a little bit more for everybody of
Sure.
kind of what you do, but has that helped you, right, in the mental health space with working through some of the emotions that you have, as that being an outlet, right, pen to paper?
Of course. I mean, any creative outlet, it doesn't matter if it's writing or it's, if it's, having a channel in cooking, if it's painting, if it's woodworking, if it's working on your car or, working on your motorcycle, any creative outlet is a way in which we get to express. And I think, one of the things there was two things that were super beneficial for me once I took off the uniform. I was blessed to have an opportunity to pull the chest that I had locked in the closet of all closets that was starting to eat me alive from inside. I pulled it out into the light so the sun could hit it. So I unpacked it. When I unpacked it, these are things that I have to deal with now, because now it's longevity. Now it's on, how do I stay above ground and be present for my kids and my family? Like, what is a healthier lifestyle for me to live so I can stay around and be present? And, what's my support network? How do I engage with the pack? How do I do other things? The two things that were really important for me was going back to school. That level of rigor and challenge, what allowed me to do the things that I know I can't do physically like I used to, right? Like, I can't physically move around like I used to anymore. I'm just a tad bit older, but I can, my brain cells still work, so I can still challenge myself mentally for, higher concepts. But creatively, I can express in writing. And, thriller, I got an opportunity to volunteer with International Thriller Writers at this point, back in 2013. So, more than 10 years ago, I was volunteered for the security detail. And they allowed me to keep coming back each year and volunteering until where I was, in direct support of the primary staff. Then I became primary staff and had the opportunity to become executive director of the Thriller Fest event for a while. And now I'm, an operations director, part of the staff to kind of help, where I can, and meet all the writers in that space that write thrillers, mystery, and suspense. And it ends up being another network. Now, it's different than the pack. It's different than anything else.
Sure.
But what it is a group of creatives expressing through story.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been an outlet, because you get to generate worlds out of words, and generate characters and people and interact with these people. And that has given me an outlet to express things of, I would love to, and I get to jump into that world and see how far I can take it. And, I would offer anyone going through a healing process, whatever type of healing process it is. It doesn't matter what. It could be, general anxiety. It could be depression. It could be PTSD and trauma. It could be different levels of trauma. It could be addiction. Pull on the thread of creativity.
Yeah. Because
sometimes source of pain, you can find healing by expressing those through an arm of creativity. It's just, you find yourself like, hey, I've told the story of an imaginary person that is actually fed from my own experiences. Yeah. And it's going to touch someone else so they don't have to live that experience. They've seen it through your character. they may make a different choice.
Right.
So it's been a blessing, man.
I mean, that, you already know this, but, my outlet is the food, right? And that's why this channel actually has a heartbeat, is because of that, right? So obviously this is the Connect series, but the Let's Cook series is my creative outlet, right? You may not see my face, you may not see all these different things. You see the meal that I'm preparing, you see the end product. That is my, again, like we talked about earlier, that's my blank canvas, right?
Yeah.
Saute pan, some ideas, throw some things together, and then me sharing that with the world. That's healing for me.
Yeah.
Personally. So, to you to have something similar in the writing space, I mean, that's literally blank canvas, right? Blank piece of paper.
It is.
And you just go and you can make whatever story you want.
It's challenging, like you come to a blank page, that first cursor line.
Yeah.
Here we go. It feels good. It's good. That's a good.
So, outside of the writing, was there anything else that you've kind of leaned into a little bit over the years in terms of that have helped you heal, right?
Yeah.
Mentally or physically, is it diet, is it exercise, what are the things that you turn to?
Exercise has been important. Not as much cardio as I'd like.
I got you.
Because bones don't work like they used to.
Yeah.
But exercise has been important. I've gone through fits, but I've been somewhat oddly consistent of moving weights around. I don't move heavier weights,
right,
but I can move a few reps here and there, and that's been good.
Yeah.
I'm like the old man in the gym that's kind of laughing when like the young guys grunting real hard and you're yanking all this heavy weight.
Good luck.
And I just thinking like,
how's that shoulder?
I was about to say that shoulder doesn't look like it's good. Oh, is that it? That L? Is that L5? That's an L5 injury. I'm like, all right, I'm an old man, but going to the gym has been super helpful, man. I found a gym with a swimming pool, and swimming has been, a lifesaver. I realized how much I was connected to the water. I couldn't always swim. Okay. There was some stories of early McMap days of like,
struggle.
You a McMap instructor? Everybody here is like,
WSQ
or McQuist, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your class? You class 2 swimmer? That was some struggle busting.
Why are you clowning me?
It was bad.
Hey, come on.
It was bad. It was bad. But I learned how to swim, and knocking out some laps, 500 meters or more, is rejuvenating to the body.
Yeah.
And it's been helpful to keep my motion, going. So that's been helpful. And then like cognitively, it's been school. Like I really, really enjoy school. I enjoy studying. Like
the aspect of learning.
The whole idea of, think about it. In the aspect of learning is a beautiful thing that like the brain can still absorb new information and you can still try to like put things together. And the other part too is like on this side of the uniform, right? Like we're on the second chapter of our lives. Mm-hmm. I've had a whole life I've lived. I'm on a whole second life. The first instance of walking into a space to where you're now only responsible for you. And when you go home, you're only responsible for your family instead of having the weight of like, I'm responsible for a platoon of people or, a company of people that you are connected to because you're responsible to them. You don't own them. You're responsible to them.
Yeah.
So that weight is no longer there, and you just get to immerse yourself in the knowledge of whatever the science or field is. That in of itself is super healing because it's an opportunity to explore and immerse myself in an environment with no connective stress. The stress of like assignments and do but like it's
different levels of stress.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Stress with one S.
Yeah, stress with one S. Yeah. Stress with one S. And I love it, man. It's a beautiful. I'll tell you this. Let me be clear about a story. I took a Bayesian statistics class, and it was a rough class. We were going into some.
I don't even know what you just said.
Man,
statistics, so I know it was rough.
Man, Yeah. Bayesian math is a weird level of math. It's just, in and of itself, is like, it's weird. It's alien math. I will say Bayesian math is alien math.
I don't know how many mathletes I have watching my channel.
Hey, it might be one who's like, I know what he's saying. You know, it's Stancil, you know, right? He'll do it. He's like, he's clapping right now. There was an old guy in that class. He had to have been over 70, easy.
Student?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't know if he was auditing that class or he was just taking the class, but he sat in that class and laughed, had jokes, took notes. And we thought maybe he was a professor, but like he was kind of doing the assignments. So it was like maybe we didn't know. He had a blast. He went through the entire semester. Every day he was there. Every day he paid attention. He asked questions. He took notes. So I never got a chance to really interrogate him, like what made you want to take this particular class? The fact that he was there, that light pathway of where I want to be when I'm his age, but still taking a class.
Right.
Still working that cognitive muscle. Still, like, if it's just a semester here and there, just still sitting in the classroom. Just keep it going and learning, man. It was a beautiful thing. That old man had an absolute blast. He was enjoying himself. And I want to be where he is.
So I know we're similar in a lot of ways. The natural curiosity that we both possess is something that I think that we just connect on. We're just super similar in that regard. So that's what I picture you taking a class in your 70s. Hopefully it's not that math class.
It's not nice. It won't be that.
Something else.
Yeah. If I'm taking a class,
gerontology or something like that. Man, talking about cognitive decline. Or
I will go somewhere. You know, I might take a culinary class. You know, in my 70s, or so I can catch up to you. So,
you don't want to make this meal, man.
Hey, I did.
You got to catch up to me.
I did.
So, I know we've been talking for a while, right? So I guess what I would like to end on would be through this entire journey, right? So, Gary, Indiana, Alabama, Gary, Indiana, right? The event with your brother and Vern, and then the enlistment, Fallujah, the guilt, through the years, and then processing and getting out, Intrepid Spirit, telling Monica, disclosing all this information. Through all of that, what do you take away from the journey of all of that and where you're at today? Is there something that you still hold on to, and whether it's triumph, whether it's, a feeling of overcoming something, where has that journey brought you to in the mental space, right? How do you feel about it?
I feel like, there's a thing called post-traumatic growth too. And I think we don't want to discount that. With transparency, with honesty and communication, and with a support network, you can grow from those experiences. Not instead of hardening yourself of like, I'm now hard because I went through this, but to know that you can survive now that you went through this. You've gone through that gauntlet. Yeah. And you can do two things differently now. You can reach others that have gone through that and give them a pathway how to come out of those spirals or dark places. Mm-hmm. Like I know where the tunnels are to get us away from this, because I have to dig them myself. Like, I can help you. And the second thing is, you know how not to spiral back into that place. So when you feel it, you feel getting sucked into that. It's like, nah, I know where that leads. I've been there before. I'm not curious about that dark tunnel. Yeah. I know where that leads. I'm gonna go.
Leave it alone.
I'm gonna leave that alone and pull this cord. Like, hey, can somebody? So I feel like that growth gives you a completely different level of resilience. Yeah. So I feel all of that leading up to now gives me layers of resiliency that I know someone struggling, I can offer my experience and hope that one of those gives them a tunnel to try to navigate away.
Yeah.
Or for me personally, if I'm, God forbid, have to experience another trauma, or something triggers a memory that puts me in that place, I know not, I have ways in which not to get sucked into
Right.
the vortex that I didn't have before. So.
Wow. This has been amazing. Seriously, like for those of you that are watching this at some point, Plate 22 and Cook Heel Connect was something I've been thinking about for a while. I know it's only been a couple months since I kind of let it out of the bag and said, hey guys, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? To now, red lights on the camera, the lights are on. We're sweating from the lights and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm so proud to be here, man.
Yeah.
Like this, you have no idea how honored I am to be here, in a sense of something that started with a concept you shared with your boys of what you wanted to do, and you said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to hold myself accountable to do this, because I think it's worth it.
It's so worth it.
It's worth
This is
it.
episode 1.
Dude.
It's worth it.
Dude.
It is worth it. There's so many people that don't ask for help, don't look for help. They're scared, they're nervous, they're embarrassed, they're angry, they're upset. They don't have the means, they don't know where to go, they don't know who to call, they don't know where to look.
Yeah.
The idea of somebody in that space stumbling upon this video or any of these videos that follow this, that hear Sam's story, that hear another guest story, hear my story, and learn ways to, go through self-help, or know who to call, or who to ask.
Yeah.
And can see themselves in your shoes or somebody else's shoes. That's massive. That's massive, and that's the point of this. Yeah. So none of this is possible, again, without the vulnerability of you sharing the story, and not just with me in this room, but
I know.
Anybody else who sees this video is going to know.
There's going to people see this video and that I know personally, that I'm really, really close with, that's going to be like, you never told me that story.
Yeah.
And I hope there is some context in this entire conversation, that when they watch this video, they understand a little bit more of why I haven't shared that story.
Yeah.
But why I also think it's important in this setting to share that story.
Yeah.
And I hope, pay it forward, man.
It means a lot, brother.
All right, so if you made it through those 2.5 hours, there was a lot packed in there. Whether it was in the kitchen, whether it was sitting down breaking bread with Sam, hearing his stories, cutting it up. We hit a lot. I'm hoping that the folks out there that took the time to watch this video, whether it was in one sitting, through a weekend, however long it took you to get through it, the idea and hope is that you took something away from it. If you're out there struggling, you don't know where to turn, how to get through any of the difficult times that you're going through, maybe some of the things that Sam talked about stuck out to you, resonated with you. Maybe it gives you a little bit of a push. If you're out there struggling, you're not sure where to turn, and you somehow stumbled upon this video, and you need help right now, reach out to the suicide hotline. It's national. Just got to dial 988. I know asking for help is hard. It's scary. Admitting that maybe you failed, admitting that you're struggling. You just got to take that first step, make the first move. On the other side of that, you may find relief. that somebody out there is willing to listen to your story. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's someone in your family. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a peer. Maybe it's a sibling, a spouse. Step one, hey, I'm struggling. So if you stumbled upon this video or you clicked the link that I sent you for the limited amount of subscribers that I have, somewhere in that 2.5 hours, I'm hoping something resonated with you. And that's the idea of this, right? I'm going to bring you more episodes. So Let's Connect episode 2 is going to be coming out soon. It's going to be a lot of the same. You're going to hear more stories of hope. How folks got through tough times. Who'd they turn to? What was their story? What sent them down that dark route? And then how did they get out of that? So episode 2 is going to bring you more of that. New food, new recipe of some sort. Can't tell you what it is right now. Can't spoil the secret. You'll have to watch the next one. So just like and subscribe to the channel here at Cook, Heal, Connect, and you'll get notified of any of the content that comes out. It could be some of just my own cooking videos of the Let's Cook series, which are just really short videos, my own outlet, my own release, or you can wait until you get the next Let's Connect video, episode 2. Either way, just want to bring you guys great content. Until next time.